thing which you, if you already have studied these acting techniques and other thing, then you would be able to appreciate better. But those who are completely blank, which I doubt which you people are, because you must have out of the 6 7 acting technique, whether it's a Stanford Meisner, Chekhov or Stanislavski, you must have read it in your own way. So what kind of factual information from that technique are going to be used as a MCQ technical question where there will be only one correct answer, and hence we have not given you the various options. This sheet which we have prepared is only one answer we have given. So if you know the one answer, the rest would be incorrect one. So this information you need to understand. This will not be a discussion class. This will be a reading of various MCQs which we have prepared. We will try to cover whatever maximum we can in the 3 hours, and in between nobody will ask any question or ask anything. And if you have anything to ask, if there is a time permits at the end of the class, he might discuss something with you if there are time permits. So it's a 3 hour long class which is quite tiring for a teacher to speak for 3 hours continuously. In between we'll take a 10-minute break, Anirban, and whenever you feel like, we can call it off for 10 minutes and let the recording for the 10 minute continue, because sometimes it gets disturbed, so it's a problem. So Anirban, take over. Share the PDF file, and no PDF file will be shared with any of the student. Only the recording of this class will be shared with all of you. Okay. Thank you very much. Anirban, please carry on.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So good evening, everyone. Nice to see a lot of people being enthusiastic for this exam and all. So last time, give me confirmation. You can see the document
Yes,
on your screen.
we can see the screening.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. So basically, for this thing, we have multiple topics where we have prepared short questions for you. This can be treated as last minute preparation also, but as a objective kind of understanding also for all these techniques. We will be discussing mostly Indian systems, Stanislavski, Chekhov, Meisner, Strasburg, Uta Hagen, Stella Adler, Grotowski, Brecht, Peter Brook, Antonin Artaud, and Augusto Boal. Okay, so let's start with Indian system of acting. Who authored Natya Shastra? It's basically talking about the author Bharat Muni. In case of there are other options also, this is the only option you should by heart. Bharat Muni is the answer. Natya Shastra is traditionally attributed to which period? When it was written? To 200 BCE to 200 CE. Because it's a long period and it's believed that multiple authors contributed to this treatise. Okay. So it cannot be contributed to one particular period. And also because it's old, so we can only date it back to a certain period of it, not any particular point in time. How many chapters are there in Natya Shastra? 36. If
सर
possible, yes.
फॉन्ट थोड़ा बड़ा कर देंगे क्योंकि देख नहीं रहा थोड़ा
ये अनिर्बान, ये जो आपका वो जो फाइल का साइज है ना, उसको थोड़ा बड़ा कर दीजिए। हाँ ऐसे, हाँ थोड़ा और कर लो, कोई बात नहीं, उसको रोल तो करना ही है आपने, थोड़ा और बड़ा कर लो। हाँ,
Yes, yes.
आई थिंक दिस वन इज फाइन, दिस इज बेटर।
Okay.
या
Um, how many chapters are there in Natya Shastra? 36. I would request all of you to simply just Google and see what these 36 chapters are attributed to. Just once, it would be fine. Okay. Which god is said to have revealed the Natya Veda? Brahma. Natya Shastra is also considered as Pancham Veda, as Natya Veda. Okay. So Pancham Veda, Natya Veda, everything is Natya Shastra, and it came from Brahma to Bharat Muni. Brahma told Bharat Muni, gave the knowledge, and Bharat Muni wrote it. Just like Mahabharata, Ved Vyas ji said it, Ganesha wrote it. Okay. What is the literal meaning of Natya? Dramatic representation. What is the primary goal of Natya according to Bharata? To educate and entertain. There are two types of it. One is Shiksha, one is Vilasa. Okay. Shiksha and Vilasa, there are very less chance to come as an option, but educate and entertain, you should understand. Which ancient Indian epic is said to contain the first enacted play? Ramayana, Uttarkand. Okay, Uttar Ramcharitam is there already. What does Bharata mean by Lokadharmi and Natyadharmi? Two types of performance mentioned in Natya Shastra, Lokadharmi and Natyadharmi, realistic versus stylized performances. Okay. Lokadharmi is realistic, Natyadharmi is stylized performance. How many rasas were originally described by Bharata? Eight rasa, all of you know. Shringar, Hasya, Karuna, Rodra, Veer, Bhayanak, Bibhatsa, Adbhut. Now, just in case, like if there are multiple options and there are options given as 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 8 is the correct answer. If 8 is not there in the option, then 9 is the correct answer, because the very next question, which rasa was added later by Abhinava Gupta? Shanta. Sometimes it depends on the practitioner. If he considers 9, then 9 is the correct answer. If he considers 8, 8 is the correct answer. But Bharata only included 8. First he included 4, then he added 4 more complementary rasas in the book. Okay. And Abhinava Gupta added Shanta later on. What are the key elements that produce rasa? Vibhav, Anubhav, Vyabhichari Bhav. These three are major element in continuation or simultaneous happening in the actor's body that results to rasa. What is the term for determinants in rasa theory? Vibhav. Determinants is Vibhava. There are few academic terms that you should by heart. That is Vibhava is determinants, and there is Anubhava, which is consequent expression, and then there is Bevichari Bhava, which is fleeting emotions. Okay, fleeting. So Bibhava, Anubhav, Bevichari Bhav. Bibhava is determinant, Anubhava is consequent expression, and Bevichari Bhav, that is also called as Sachari Bhav, is called fleeting emotion. Okay, that stays for a very small period of time. How many Bevichari Bhava are listed in Natyashastra? Very factual question. No point of confusion. 33. Okay, 33 Bevichari Bhavas are listed. Discussed already in the class. Which of the following is not a Bevichari Bhava? There will be multiple options. So Shringara is basically a rasa. It's not a bhava. It's not a rasa. It's not a bhava. It's a Shringara rasa. Ashtam ras. Yeah. Which bhava corresponds to Shanta rasa according to Abhinava Gupta? Sama. There is every rasa is dedicated to one bhava. Okay. So Shanta rasa is dedicated to the bhava of Sama, equanimity. All these critical words like determinants, equanimity, consequent expression. These are taken from the core translation of Natyashastra in English. Okay, the earlier academic translations of it. That's why the words are a little bit sounds old and tough. What are Sattvika Bhava? Involuntary psychological responses. Involuntary psychological responses. Which of these is a Sattvika Bhava? Tears, Ashru. Again, 8 Sattvika Bhavas are there. Okay. Out of this, Ashru, tears is one of the option. The
Is it
process of universalizing
psychological or physiological?
physiological. Sattvika Bhavas are physiological.
Okay, okay.
It has some kind of psychological aspect to it, but it's an involuntary physical reaction. Sattvika Bhava is involuntary physical reaction.
Okay, thank you.
So trembling, tearing up, all these things are there, right? Goosebumps, 8 type of things are mentioned there. The process of universalizing personal emotion is called sadharanikaran. This word sadharanikarana bhi aap log by heart kar lijiye, because this word you will get to know at many points. Okay, sadharanikaran is an important part of Natya Shastra. Who formalized the theory of sadharanikarana? Abhinava Gupta. Okay. How many types of abhinaya are defined in Natya Shastra? 4. Angik, Vachik, Aharya, Sattvik. The very basic question, the very first question you encounter whenever you deal with Natya Shastra. Which abhinaya relates to bodily gesture and movement? Angika. Basic aspect hai. Angika deals with anga, that is the bodily part of it. Vachika, that is vacha, speech. So it deals with voice, speech, recitation, and all. Aharya is the extra props you are using to enhance your acting characterization. So it comes under makeup, costume, everything comes under it. And Satvika, which is the internalization of it. The whatever the Stanislavski and all these things that you call the truth, achieving the truth, achieving the truth. So the more close to the truth, the more Satvika you becomes. Okay, so it's basically attaining a transcendental phase through your acting. So, which Abhinaya relates to bodily gesture? Angika. What Vachika Abhinaya concerned with? Voice, speech, recitation. Makeup and costuming fall under which Abhinaya? Aharya Abhinaya. Which Abhinaya deals with inner emotional response? Sattvika Abhinaya. Which of the following is an example of Angika Abhinaya? Now, if you have any encounter with classical dance, Indian classical dance, so you know Hasta Mudras are there. Charis are there. Chari means there is this chalan, how to walk and all. So all these things comes under Angika Vinaya. So hand gesture, mudra, chari, everything is there. What are the major subdivisions of Angika Vinaya? There are classifications of it discussed in detail in the theory section, theory classes. Mainly Anga, Upanga, Pratyanga. There are multiple bifurcations to it, but I don't think that is much more necessary currently in the MCQ section. Anga, Upanga, Pratyanga, major division of Angika Vinaya. Which facial feature falls under Upanga? Eyes. Okay. So this is one of the critical part of it where which are called Anga, which are called Upanga, and which are called Pratyanga. Okay. Anga is the basically major limbs. Upanga is the secondary ones, and Pratyanga is the involuntary ones. How many types of glances are described in Abhinay Darpan? Drishti Bheda. How many ways you can look at someone? 8.
एक क्वेश्चन था बस, अंग उपांग और
Yes.
प्रत्यंग जरा सा डिटेल में बता सकते हैं, थोड़ा सा एग्जांपल देके? अंग उपांग और प्रत्यंग
Anga is basically major limbs of our body. Okay, hands, leg, fine. All this then you can voluntarily move. Okay. Upanga is the secondary part of it. These are not major part of our body, but still we can voluntarily move it. That is under our control. Pratyanga is something that is not at part of our control, but still can be used as expression or characterization, like cheeks or hair or anything. Okay,
ओके
those are
सर.
Pratyanga. 8 type of Drishti Vedas are there, which is not part of Sattvic Bhava. Veer. Veer is Thai Bhava, not a Sattvikan. Then you will already have the list, and in the list you can see what is Sattvic Bhava and what is not. What is the philosophical basis for the aesthetic experience in Indian dramaturgy? Rasa theory. Rasa theory is basically the thing that caused all the experience part of it, be it aesthetic, if whether aesthetic is written or not, doesn't matter, but any kind of experience in Indian dramaturgy doesn't necessarily it has to be a philosophical basis or not, but it's all comes under rasa theory because the whole part of characterization, acting, and performance ends up in rasa because it's called rasa nispatti. So end result is always rasa. Any kind of question comes under the experience part of it, the audience part of it, it's always rasa theory. Okay. Who is the most prominent commentator on the Natya Shastra? Abhinavagupta. There are multiple ones. Abhinavagupta is the prominent one. What does Natya metaphorically represent in Natya Shastra? Mirror of human life. As it's a philosophical aspect. Natak Samaj Jivan ka darpan hai, kind of those kind of philosophy. Which Indian classical art form uses the Natya Shastra as its theoretical foundation? Bharatnatyam. Bharatnatyam is the only dance form that takes Natya Shastra as it is. No modification, nothing. As written in Natya Shastra, same to same is done in Bharatnatyam. Other Indian dances, other Indian theatre forms, picks up some part of it, important part of it, required part of it, but Bharatnatyam choose A to Z.
Sir,
Which
is
performance?
Odissi, sorry to cut you off, isn't Odissi also doing the same Odissi dance form? या उसमें कुछ changes होते हैं?
No. Odissi takes up the chari, takes up the hastamudras and everything, but not every part of it.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Yeah. Which performance form focuses intensely on facial expressions based on rasa? Kathakali. जो ज्यादा से ज्यादा facial expression पे base करता है. Which bhava acts as the emotional seed for Shringara Rati? So every rasa has a bhava. Shringar has Rati. Which Indian aesthetic text expand the rasa theory into poetry and literature? Dhanya Loka by Ananda Bardhana. It's a thing to remember. Just remember it. How many kinds of Nayaka are mentioned in Natya Shastra? There are multiple, but major are 4. Okay. Dhiroddata, Dhirodhata, Dhiralalita, Dhira Prashanta. There are 4 types. One character that fits into all these 4 is Rama. Okay. The Ram, character of Ramayana, hero of Ramayana, is the one hero that fits into all these 4. Dhiroddata, Dhirodatta, Dhira Prashanta, Dhira Lalita. In classical Indian aesthetics, which term refers to audience identification? Saridayata. Okay, empathy with the character state. So in Natya Shastra, audience is characterized as Saharidai, it's said. So it's like my heart goes with you, Saharidai. Okay, empathy is the character state, Saharidayata. In Yakshagana, which Abhinaya is most exaggerated and stylized? Ahari Abhinaya. Like I said, like different kind of we went much forward. Sorry. Yes, Yakshagana. Which Indian theatre form is known for highly developed Satvika Abhinaya? Kudiyattam. So all these different forms, styles have taken different part of Natya Shastra and they built upon it. So Kudiyattam depended mostly on Satvika Abhinaya. Which Indian classical dance form visually interprets Navarasa through pure movement and Abhinaya? Bharatnatyam. Which element of performance is intended to awaken emotional memory? Samskara. Samskara is basically considered emotional memory in Natya Shastra. Bhava. Which rasa is dominant in devotional performances and bhakti poetry? Shringara and Shanta. Mostly classical dance in case of devotion deals with Radha Krishna, Shiva. So it deals with mostly Shringara, Shanta, and sometimes Raudra, but very little part of Raudra part of Shiva is considered there. In Shiva also there is a lot of Shanta part of it and Shringara part of it, like Ardhanarishwara and all. In theatre, the character who initiates action is known as Nayaka, hero. Which chapter of Natya Shastra deals extensively with music and rhythm? Chapter 28 to 33. I again say saying that एक बार आप गूगल पे जाके just note down which chapter caters to what. Okay. What is the term for rhythmic cycles in Natya Shastra? Tala. Lay, tal, and all these things about rhythm is mentioned. So rhythmic cycles is tala. Which instrument is considered the most essential in classical Natya performance? Mridanga. Nothing else, Mridanga. Tabla is not an instrument listed in Indian classical system. Okay, it came from outside. It's not an Indian classical instrument, tabla. Which concept refers to the mood or emotion in music that parallels rasa in theatre? Rag and bhav. How many sattvika bhavas are there in Natya Shastra? 8. Which of the following is a sattvika bhava? Shweda, sweating. Just like goosebumps and all other involuntary actions. So sweating is one of those. Take a sattvika bhava. Which sattvika bhava corresponds to trembling? Kampa. Another again sattvika bhava. What distinguishes sattvika bhava from other bhavas? They arise involuntarily from intense inner emotion. Which sattvika bhava represents stupefaction or loss of awareness? Stambha. So you become still. Okay. Just like Harry Potter stupefaction. Stambha. Just become a pillar. Which Kashmiri philosopher provided a comprehensive commentary on rasa theory? Abhinava Gupta. Abhinava Gupta's famous commentary on Natya Shastra is called Abhinava Bharati. Abhinava Bharati is the book. Abhinava Gupta is the man. Okay, remember, confuse kar lete log. The theory of Dhwani was developed in which literary theorist? Anandavardhana. This is something you have to just by heart. Which rasa does Anandavardhana consider the ultimate in poetry? Shanta, according to Anandavardhana only. The process by which rasa is universally experienced is known as sadharanikarana, universalization, sadharanikarana. Which element in Natya is said to balance dharma, artha, kama, and moksha? Rasa. सबको equilibrium पे ले आता. That's the experience of it. Which dramatic form explicitly uses stylized abhinaya based on Natya Shastra principles? Kudiyattam. Which rasa dominates in meditative and philosophical theatrical pieces? Shanta. Which foundational Sanskrit phrase from the Natya Shastra refers to the mimetic process in acting? It's yato hasta tato drishti tato manah, tato bhava, yato bhava tato rasah. Basically translates into where the hand goes, the eye follows. Yato hasta tato drishti. Yato drishti tato manah, where the eye looks at, the mind goes there as usual. जहां पे आंख जाती है वहां पे मन भी जाता है. यतो दृष्टि ततो मनः. यतो मनः ततो भाव. Where the mind goes, the feeling starts to generate. The bhav is there. And yato bhava tato rasah. So जिस तरीके का भाव होगा, the kind of feelings are there, then emotions going to generate in the same similar way. Yato bhava tato rasah. So that's all about Indian classical system, majorly. Okay. You can always refer to the theory sections where everything is discussed in detail, but majorly these are the things which at this point we think that summarize most of the things and gives you a quick glance about the whole topic. Okay. Next, we will start with Stanislavski, Konstantin Stanislavski. What is the core objective of Stanislavski's system? To achieve believable, truthful performance through psychological realism. Now, we are not focusing on one word answer here. We are giving you a summarized online answer so you have a better understanding. So, whatever the way, whichever way the wordings are used in the correct answer, you can recognize it. Okay. Because these are very subjective. So, the correct answer can be interpreted or meant it with different words also. Okay. So, that's why the answers are written in such ways. What is the core objective of Stanislavski system? Achieve believable, truthful performance through psychological realism. What does given circumstances refer to in Stanislavski's method? While you are referring to this class again, like in the, you can see the given circumstances in the quotation. So you can understand this is one of the principle that Stanislavski's method uses. Okay, given circumstances. The fact of the character's world, including time, place, situation, and relationship. Okay, whatever is given is the given circumstances that you can figure out from the in time, place, situation, relationship, or the character. What is the magic if in Stanislavski's technique? Imagining oneself in the character's situation. What, how, why would I do if? So you question everything with these three what, why, how, and you put a if there. So imagining oneself in the character situation. So whatever you as an actor will do in the character situation is all magic if means. What does Stanislavski mean by emotional memory? Recalling a past emotional experience to fuel authentic performance. What is a super objective in the Stanislavski system? The character's overachieving goal or desire throughout the entire narrative or play. What are units and beats in scene analysis? Division of a scene into smaller parts, each with its own intention, unit, or objective. Okay. So all these slashes are very important. Okay. All these kind of different things, like the intention is something different, unit is something different, objective is something different. But everything is already contributing to the understanding of units and beats in scene analysis. That's why it's written like that. Okay. So, like in the third question also, if you answer a question with what, if you question with why, if you question with how, you're gonna get different answers, but it all contributes to the same situation that where the magic if is being considered. Okay. What is meant by through line of action? The logical emotional thread connecting to a character's objectives from start to finish. So from the very beginning, from the very end, when the objectives are completed, it's called through line of action. Okay. How does Stanislavski define tempo rhythm? The internal and external pacing and energy of a performance. So there are two kind of pacing discussed in the theory class. One is internal rhythm and external rhythm, and both has different kind of pacing. Can be different kind of pacing and energy. This is called tempo rhythm. What role does relaxation play in Stanislavski's system? Essential for physical and mental freedom in performance. What is concentration of attention? Focusing the actor's attention on stage to avoid distraction from truth. So whenever you have done your characterization and performing the character, so there at that moment there is this attention circle of concentration is discussed. So that has to be very small where the actors are is only focused on the character, so to avoid any kind of distraction. How does Stanislavski distinguish between mechanical and organic acting? Mechanical is imitative. He doesn't like imitation. Stanislavski hates imitation. Organic comes from genuine internal impulses. That is the realistic acting, truthful acting. What is meant by public solitude? The ability to behave naturally on stage as if alone despite being watched is again kind of giving hint to the concentration of attention. So only focusing on yourself, though you are with present on stage with all the co-actors and everything. What does motivation mean in Stanislavski's terms? The reason behind every action a character takes. So motivation is nothing but what drives you to take a particular action. How does Stanislavski define adaptation? Adjusting tactics in response to obstacles while pursuing objectives. Adjusting tactics in response to obstacles while pursuing objectives, that is called adaptation. So whenever you change anything in your character to fulfill the objectives of it, that's called adaptation. So Stanislavski also says that adaptation also has to be done in a truthful way. So at any point if you feel like something is not going right or feeling right, so adaptation cannot be done you coming out of the character or from a distance. You have to be in the character and adjust the tactics and response. Okay. So basically playing with your impulses. What does inner monologue refer to in his method? The continuous stream of thoughts and feeling of the character. Stream of thoughts is the important thing. Okay. The continuous stream of thoughts and feelings of the character. How is imagination important in Stanislavski's process? Vital for building believable circumstances and actions. That's how imagination gonna base everything, building believable circumstances and actions only through imagination. What is psychophysical unity in acting? The integration of mind and body in performance. Psychophysical. Physical is the body, psycho is the mind. What is a score of action? A detailed script of physical and psychological actions for a character. What is the function of subtext in performance? The underlying meaning beneath spoken dialogue. Subtext. What is not said is the subtext. Stanislavski also focused the non-action, the non-text part of it, subtext. How did Stanislavski view the actor's body and voice as instruments that must be trained and disciplined rigorously? What does truth on stage mean in his system? Reacting authentically under imaginary circumstances. What was Stanislavski's view on improvisation? A tool for discovering truth and spontaneity in a role. So, from the very beginning, like Stanislavski, improvisation has been an important part of characterization. What are circles of attention? Techniques for focusing awareness from self to wider surroundings. There are three circles of attention. One where the actor himself is there, one where the co-actor is there, and another one where the whole stage, along with all its setting, furniture, and everything, light, sound, everything is there. So three circle of attention, an actor should always maintain. Why did Stanislavski move away from emotional memory later in life? He prioritized physical actions more reliable triggers. What does communion mean in his method? Deep, genuine connection between actors on stage. That is, he meant that a community should be made amongst the cast, and a different kind of close community should be made on stage where actor and his co-actor or her co-actor is performing. What is the creative mood in acting? A state of inspiration and readiness for spontaneous performance. There's a creative mood. What is the method of physical action? Developing performance through purposeful physical activity. How does a character's objective differ from their action? Differ from their action. Objective is the goal, action is what I will try to put Hindi in between. but mostly because everyone can understand English, I think I will try to continue most in English. But मैं बीच बीच में हिंदी बोलता रहूंगा.
Yes, sir.
Uh, how does a character's objective differ from their action? Objective is the goal, action is what they do to achieve it. Okay, so this is the thing. Objective is how can you understand it? Like there is a thing called super objective. So objective is the goal, end goal, and action is what the small units that eventually make them achieve the objective. What is the actor's task during rehearsal in Stanislavski's view? To explore the role deeply, not to perform it perfectly. Okay. Why is observation important to an actor? It enriches realism by studying real life behavior. What, what did Stanislavski mean by experiencing the role? Living the part truthfully, not just presenting it. Being truthful is the ultimate thing for Stanislavski. Actually, in most of the techniques, leaving few. Okay. What did Stanislavski mean by experiencing the role? Living the part truthfully, not just presenting it. How does inner justification support acting choices? Ensures every action is logically motivated by the character. Logically motivated by the character. The logic comes from the truthfulness. What does Stanislavski say about stereotyped acting? It's superficial and lacks genuine connection because stereotypical means repetitive in every human. So, if every human is repeating a particular action for a certain character, that means the truthfulness is lacking. So, there is no genuine connection. What role does will play in the actor's process? It drives the actor to pursue objectives with intention. It's talking about the willpower, okay, not will from Stranger Things. What is the state of I am being in his method? A fully present, authentic state of acting where you transform into something else. You are present to do any kind of characterization. What is attention to objects on stage used for? Helps focus and grounding men in imaginary circumstances. How are obstacles viewed in Stanislavski's acting process? As challenges that intensify action and objective pursuit. What is the score of inner action? Mapping emotional or intellectual steps of the character. Okay, so there'll be three kind of mapping. One is the mapping of action in Stanislavski. One is mapping of inner action, the emotional, and another one is objective mapping. So you graph all the objectives of it, and all of these things combined make the character arc of it. Okay, what does truthful action mean? An act done with full belief and purpose, not mimicry. How is repetition used in Stanislavski's training? To refine truthful responses and deepen understanding. What is physical relaxation important for acting? It prevents tension from blocking emotional expression. So there should be no tension in your body or in mind, any kind of blockage. So it's a physical relaxing mode. And from the neutral point of view, you pick it up and go forward. What are motivational verbs used for in script work? To define what the actor is doing, to do, basically. So whatever the verb or action is meant, it's always to do. What is the actor's creative will? The force that unites emotion, thought, and action. This is again kind of a factual question. It's written already in the book. Emotion, thought, action. It's creative will. What did Stanislavski mean by believability over theatricality? Truth in performance is more important than showiness. How are psychological gestures used in his system? A physical expression of a character's inner drive. That's how psychological gesture or small mannerism comes in. Why did Stanislavski emphasize rehearsal over performance? Rehearsal builds the foundation for truthful performance. What is experiencing versus representing? Experiencing is truthful acting, representing is artificial performance, basically imitation. Okay, so no representation, only experience. So when the action drives takes motivation from your experience, it's considered truthful acting according to Stanislavski. What is meant by scenic truth? Creating a believable world on stage through committed action. So the moment, truth of the moment, whenever you're performing on stage, so for every moment there is a truth that you are trying to achieve through committed action. Okay, so this is the moment of truth that is called here as scenic truth. What does living the part mean? Living the part mean immersing fully into the role emotionally and physically. How should an actor approach emotional truth without self-indulgence? By channeling real feelings through clear, objective-driven action. How should an how should an actor approach emotional truth without self-indulgence? By channeling real feelings through clear, objective-driven action. So that's mostly all about Stanislavski. The one interesting part of it that you will see the most of the questions are structured in a way. All the questions are structured in a way that it gives a very much reflect on the um, techniques or tools he wants to use or the terms that needs to be explained. Okay. So just going through these objective questions helps you to frame your broad answers also. So if you can deal with all these topics in your brief answers, then also it will help you. Okay. But along with this, what I didn't want to include and just make the MCQs longer for you. The factual things, very factual things like कौन से साल में पैदा हुए, कौन से किताब कब लिखे, all these things. Okay. तो वो बस एक बार आप रफली चेक कर लेना, ठीक है? एटलीस्ट कौन से साल में पैदा हुए, कौन से साल गुजरे, all those major things. ठीक है? Next, we're going to deal with Michael Chekhov. What is the core principle of Michael Chekhov's acting technique? Using imagination and the body to access the actor's creative individuality. Now, imagination will keep on coming at multiple points, but Michael Chekhov's imagination, see, I made it bold. So, Michael Chekhov used imagination as his strongest point of characterization. Okay. So every acting theorist has used imagination at some point in some way. But if it's said, if anyone asks you that who uses imagination as the prominent tool, then it's always Michael Chekhov. Okay.
Sir, again, one
Can
question
I
if you can
ask
answer.
something? Sorry.
Yes, please.
Sir, it is said कि Stella Adler is also
हाँ
very
सेम मेरा भी यही
high
क्वेश्चन था.
on imagination पे. Stella Adler का भी
सभी
कहना
सब
है.
यूज करते हैं. Strasburg uses imagination more than Saladler.
But if that question comes कि imagination सबसे ज़्यादा किसका foundation है and all these are the options, then who should we go with?
If
We have
all the
Adler.
things are there, then it's always Chekhov.
Okay, sir.
If all these options are there, then Chekhov is the correct answer. What does psychological gesture refer to in Chekhov's work? A physical movement that embodies a character or a character's inner desire or emotion. Just give me a minute. I have some problem viewing this. Yes. What does psychological gesture refers to in Chekhov's work? A physical movement that embodies a character's inner desire or emotion. How does Chekhov define the creative individuality of an actor? The actor's unique, imaginative self beyond personal habits and ego. Imaginative self beyond personal habits and ego. So when the any actor can incorporate the imaginative tool of his completely, so he can become a creative individual. What is the difference between I and the actor's body in Chekhov's system? I is the higher self directing the actor's instrument, body, and mind. Because I is the self, the philosophical self of it, and that kind of directs everything that everything your body and mind is doing. What is meant by atmosphere in Michael Chekhov's method? A tangible emotional quality surrounding a scene, space, or moment. Acha, okay, one more thing. If under imagination, the option Chekhov is not there, then Strasburg is the option. Okay, still not Stella Adler. Just remember.
सर बट मतलब जैसे जो मैंने पढ़ा था कि स्टारबक्स जो है वो इमोशनल रिकॉल पे ज्यादा ध्यान देते थे और स्टेला एडलर इमेजिनेशन.
Let me end the class. We'll talk about it.
श्योर श्योर.
Yeah. Uh, what does ideals? No. Yes. What does Chekhov mean by radiating? Projecting energy, intention, or emotion outward to the audience or scene partner. Okay. So you have to radiate some energy to your audience. So that's how the communication or the connection is being built. What is the purpose of the psychological gesture? To quickly connect with and activate the character's internal life. What role does imagination play in Chekhov's technique? It is the actor's most powerful tool to create transformation and truth. What does what role does imagination play in Chekhov's technique? It is the actor's most powerful tool to create transformation and truth. What does ideal center refer to in his training? A point in the body, often the chest or solar plexus, where energy and characters are focused. How does Chekhov describe inspiration? A state in which the actor is moved by creative forces beyond the personal. What is the creative state in Chekhov's technique? A heightened condition of receptivity, presence, and artistic flow. What does gestural transformation mean? Shifting your inner state through a specific repeated gesture. What does Chekhov suggest actors do to avoid being self centered on stage? Develop objective awareness and radiate attention outward. How does Chekhov define archetype? A universal image or essence that shapes the character's core. Archetypes are very interesting thing. आप एक बार हल्का सा पढ़ लीजिए. There are 6 archetypical characters. यिंग yang philosophy के कार्ल यूंग के जो philosophy है उसके अंदर है ये archetypes. What is the four brothers exercise in his technique? Exercises representing the four qualities: molding, floating, flying, radiating. Okay, ये चार भी आप याद कर लीजिए. Four brothers: molding, floating, flying, radiating. Not necessarily as four brothers. If this comes in any way in related to Chekhov, you should be able to answer. What is the difference between personal emotion and artistic emotion? Personal emotion is self-based. Artistic emotion is creatively transformed. What is meant by polarities in Chekhov's training? Exploring opposites, light, dark, strong, weak, to deepen character. Archetypes, again, those archetypes that I'm talking about. What is the body as a conductor in his approach? The body channels and expresses inner impulses and imagination. What is the qualitative gesture? A movement expressing how something is done. Softly, quickly, qualitative gesture. How does Chekhov view the role of tension? It blocks inspiration and must be released for full creativity. What does Chekhov mean by impulse? A spontaneous inner motivation towards action. Spontaneous inner motivation, okay? Impulse. What is the actor's imaginary body? A fully imagined physicality that replaces the actor's natural self. How does Chekhov describe the double? The ideal version of the actor watching and guiding the performance. Why is gesture important in Chekhov's method? It externalizes inner life and creates immediate transformation. What is meant by inner image? A mental picture or vision that fuels emotional and physical response. How is character atmosphere different from scene atmosphere? Character atmosphere is the aura that character brings, and scene atmosphere is shared. So, character atmosphere is what you have built up in your mind, and scene atmosphere is what the playwright or the director has made up for you in the stage. Is anyone talking? I would request please mute the mic and talk. If you're not talking to me, please kindly mute the mic. Thank you.
हाँ ठीक है
Kindly mute the mic. What is the actor's artistic will? The creative force that allows actors to make bold, inspired choices. Okay. The character's atmosphere is the aura a character brings, and scene atmosphere is shared. So basically, when you do a characterization, you do all this imagination, you define the subtext, you make the character's arc objective and everything. So whatever is happening in your mind, that is your atmosphere, the character atmosphere that you bring, that you have the most detailed idea about. And the scene atmosphere is whatever the director or the text or the playwright defines for you that you see on stage. Okay. It kind of coincides with the concept of circles of attention. Okay. So the first circle is the character atmosphere, and the second circle and third circle is the scene atmosphere, basically. Okay. What is expand? How can an actor develop imaginative power according to Chekhov? Through disciplined exercises in visualization, gesture. Yes.
क्या बोला
Whoever it is, kindly just. Oh,
Manish Kumar, mute your mic.
কি হলো
okay, let's not escalate it by everyone talking about it. Whoever is talking, just kindly.
The host should have an option to mute that person.
It's okay. I think it's all calm down now. Fine. It's okay. What is expanding and contracting in his training? Physical action that reflects inner openness and withdrawal. This expanding and contracting is very interesting. It's like expansion and contraction, just like breathing. Okay. So when you inhale, the chest expands, and when you exhale, it shrinks. So this kind of affects all our physical action in a similar philosophical way. So physical action that reflects inner openness or withdrawal. So openness is the expansion and withdrawal is the contraction. What does Chekhov mean by filling of the whole? An awareness of the scene, space, and other actors beyond the self. Basically talking about the third circles of attention. What is the center of expression in character development? The physical point where the character's energy is concentrated. How does tempo influence performance in Chekhov's technique? It shapes the rhythm, the energy of characters' action and speech. Okay. Do it kind of the same thing, tempo and rhythm in Stanislavski also. What is movement psychology in Chekhov's system? Understanding characters through how they move and inhabit space. How are forms used in Chekhov's character work? Structural energy, shapes like straight, curved, twisted, help define the character. Structural energy, ये जो straight, curved, twisted help है. To understand this, it helps to exercise with the concept of expanding and contraction also. Okay, it helps define these forms. What is the difference between gesture for feeling and gesture for action? Gesture for feelings evokes emotion. Gesture for action motivates behavior. Uh, these two concept, it will come at many places in different ways, different approaches. Slightly critical to understand. So in the beginning, if you have less time, I would suggest कि आप by heart कर लो and try to play various examples on this topic to understand and realize it so it stays with you forever. So gesture for feeling evokes emotion. तो एक फीलिंग से जो जेस्चर आती है वो आपकी इमोशन जनरेट करते हैं, इवोक करते हैं, और एक जेस्चर फॉर एक्शन जो जेस्चर एक्शन में बदलने वाला है या एक्शन से मोटिवेटेड जेस्चर है, वो कहीं ना कहीं आपका बिहेवियर डिनोट करने में मदद करता है. ठीक है. So two type of gestures are there: gesture for feeling, gesture for emotion. You feeling something and you do a gesture, and you are actually approaching an action that transforms into or that generates a small gesture on your part, on your body. So these two kind of things generate two different kind of things. The gesture for feeling evokes emotion, and the gesture for action motivates behavior. Okay. So if you want to project behavior first, then you should root for gesture for action. And if you want to convey emotion, that you should root for gesture for feeling. Okay. Why is objectivity important in Chekhov's method? It prevents personal bias and allows the actor to serve the story. What are qualities of movement in his work? Molding, floating, flying, radiating, the four brothers, all connected to feeling and style. How can an actor embody fear using Chekhov's tools? Through contraction, trembling gestures, or specific atmosphere work. What is energy body in Michael Chekhov's vocabulary? The invisible energetic presence that surrounds and informs the actor. What role does intuition play in Chekhov's training? It's a vital guide for making authentic and imaginative choices. How does Chekhov use the concept of composition, the overall design of space, gesture, and energy in performance? The How is character creation approached in Chekhov's system? As a fusion of gesture, atmosphere, archetype, and imagination. These four, very important: gesture, atmosphere, archetype, and imagination. What does non identification mean in this technique? Not merging with the character personally, but accessing it artistically. The difference with Stanislavski. The difference and similarities amongst all these techniques that you're going to talk about today is already been discussed in theory classes. So this is one of the major point of difference from Stanislavski, the non-identification. Why is detachment considered healthy in Chekhov's philosophy? It allows for artistic clarity without emotional exhaustion. What is the purpose of ensemble radiating? Creating unity and energetic harmony among all actors on stage. How does Chekhov address fear and nervousness in performance? Transform them into creative energy through imaginative focus. What is gesture rehearsal in Chekhov's practice? Using gestures repeatedly to lock in emotion and rhythm. What is a soul quality in Chekhov's terms? A spiritual or emotional essence that defines a character. What are character masks used in Chekhov based training? To explore external archetypes without self consciousness. So without use your memory or anything, you use archetypes to approach a character. What is Chekhov's view on the actor's relationship to the audience? It's energetic, mutual, and elevated through radiating presence. That's all from Chekhov. We're gonna do Meisner. Okay. What is the foundation of Meisner's technique? Living truthfully under imaginary circumstances. Truthful has to be there. Imaginary circumstances also has to be there. What is the primary exercise in Meisner's training? The repetition exercise. The very basic thing. अगर आपने कभी भी माइजनर के बारे में सुना है तो आपको ये बात सुनाई दिया ही होगा, the repetition exercise that helps to understand Meisner the easiest way possible. But Meisner is not only about repetition exercise, it's much, much more beyond that. What does Meisner mean by the reality of doing? Fully engaging in genuine action, not pretending. So, no pretense, genuine action, but under imaginary circumstances. What does Meisner discourage line reading? Why does Meisner discourage line reading? Because it kills spontaneity and truth in performance. So reading it again and again, just like the way playwright wanted, it kills spontaneity because you are forcing other kind of emotion, the dictated emotion in your character. What is the purpose of the repetition exercise? To develop focus, listening, and truthful reaction. Basically, it helps you to recognize your impulses. In the beginning, if you don't know how impulse works, this exercise helps you to recognize impulse and develop your impulse. How does Meisner define acting? The ability to behave truthfully under imaginary circumstances. In Meisner's technique, what matters more than words? Behavior and subtext. Simply by hearted behavior and subtext. What is the role of emotional preparation in Meisner's work? To truthfully enter a scene with appropriate emotional life. If you don't have understanding of the theory part of it, or did not attend the theory classes at all, or you don't have to attend theory classes, like if you have understanding prior on your own, this will help you better because you can understand it and remember it easily. If you have no understanding, I would suggest at this point try to understand as much as possible, and the rest you just by heart it for the sake of exam, because I think the exam is almost knocking in your at your door. Okay. In Meisner's technique, what matters more, behavior and text? What does Meisner say about being in your head? It disconnects you from the moment and your scene partner. How does it's a bad thing, okay? How does Meisner approach memorization? Lines should be memorized by rote without pre-planned delivery. So as it should be remembered just like that, what you're about to say, like a structure of the words, and then your impulse should drive them ki whatever the way they want to come out, and you should be able to deliver it like that. What is the key to good acting in Meisner's view? Listening and responding truthfully. What is the difference between Meisner and method acting? Meisner focuses on external stimulus, method on internal memory. Why is moment to moment important in Meisner training? It keeps performance alive and spontaneous. What is independent activity in Meisner's exercise? A challenging task that occupies the actor's focus truthfully. What is the knock on the door exercise? Another important exercise of Meisner. Those who go beyond repetition, they get to know knock on the door. An emotional preparation drill involving objectives and obstacles. The exercise knock on the door may seem very boring on the surface, but once you start doing it on a regular basis, you understand that what kind of depth it brings to you. An emotional preparation drill involving objectives and obstacles. What is the goal of emotional preparation? To bring truthful emotion into the start of a scene. How is truth defined in Meisner technique? Behavior that is instinctive and unforced. That how truth is defined by Meisner. Why are imaginary circumstances essential? They provide the actor with a context to behave. I can give a brief if only there is some time left at the end of the class because explaining an exercise is quite mm, time-taking part. We won't be able to complete the MCQs. Okay. If we complete the MCQ at the end, I will talk about it. Just remind me. How is truth defined? हो गया. Why is imaginary circumstances essential? They provide the actor with a context to behave truthfully. What's the difference between listening and hearing in Meisner? Listening requires full engagement, hearing is passive. You can understand it easily, okay? So listen carefully. Hearing is passive. Now, because both kind of means to listen, hearing and listening both. So sometimes we don't understand which one is the superficial and which one is the committed one. So Meisner made it clear, and we should also learn it like that. And that's how it is actually. Listening is active and hearing is passive. How should an actor respond in Meisner's view? Impulsively, without thinking or planning. No head involved, simply body. Why does Meisner value repetition? It strips away self consciousness and reveals true behavior. So when you repeat it, in the repetition, in the speed of it, in the pace of it, uh, you get away from the conscious part of yourself and reveals true behavior. What is meant by taking it personally? Oh, hearing passive and listening active. See, on a superficial part, it's just wordplay. Okay. But that's how it is. Like now, when I'm teaching, taking the session, while taking the session, also I'm focusing on the lower part of the screen. जब मैं ओके फाइन इन हिंदी ओके फाइन आई विल डू इट तो जब मैं आपसे बात कर रहा हूँ मैं सिर्फ सेशन ले नहीं रहा हूँ मैं ये भी नोटिस कर रहा हूँ कि आप लोग चैट बॉक्स में क्या लिख रहे हैं क्या बोल रहे हैं सो आई एम लिसनिंग टू एवरीथिंग आई एम अलर्ट एंड आई कैन रिएक्ट ओके अगर मैं सिर्फ सेशन में ध्यान रहता और मैं चैट बॉक्स नहीं देखता तो आप लोग लिखते जाते पर मैं आगे बढ़ता जाता ओके सो देयर इज अ प्रिटेंशन ऑफ लाइक समवन इज प्रेजेंट इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू आप बहुत देर से बात कर रहे हैं एंड देन व्हेन यू आस्क फॉर कि तो मैं करूँ तो क्या करूँ एंड द पर्सन इज क्लूलेस so he was hearing but it's a passive hearing he is not attentive to you and listening means a full engagement so he actively participates anyone actively participates and then the response also generates come from a very genuine part of it okay so it comes as a response it comes as a reaction respond करने के लिए listening is very important okay how should an actor respond in Meisner's view impulsively without thinking or planning why does Meisner value repetition it strips away self-consciousness and reveals true behavior what is meant by taking it personally in Meisner work letting stimulus from the partner affect you truthfully. Stimulus as in जब आप सुनते हैं या alert रहते हैं and you are being receptive. So if it is not word, then also the action or whatever the person in front of you doing, it's kind of acts as a stimulus and it affects you to generate a truthful reaction. How is instinct trained in Meisner's technique? Through repetitive, responsive practice and presence. So some acting techniques train you for impulses. Some acting technique trains you for impulses. Some trains you to become vulnerable. Some trains you to become more emotional and all. Oh, different techniques catering to different kind of traits, or whichever they think is more important to approach acting, truthful acting. What is meant by pitch and touch in Meisner terms? Immediate reaction to stimulus for cause and effect. Pinch and touch. Why is partner focus essential in Meisner training? acting is about the other person, not yourself. So you always focus on your partner. So it's basically talking about the conscious and attentive listening part of it. What is the actor's instrument in Meisner's approach? Their body, voice, and emotional availability. What are the circumstances in Meisner training? The who, what, where, and why of a scene. Who, what, where, and why of a scene. In this, how doesn't come in the scene because it's talking about the circumstances of it. Okay, and how will take you to the doing part of it. What is Meisner's stance on emotional recall? And Meisner also not talk about how because Meisner's how is only based on impulse, instinct. Okay, so truthful reaction really cannot be defined as in how. ठीक है अलग से इसको करना बहुत मुश्किल है
हेलो सर, एक चीज पूछेगी मुझको।
यस यस
जैसे अभी माइजनर के जो इंस्ट्रूमेंट है इसमें लिखा है बॉडी वॉइस एंड इमोशनल अवेलेबिलिटी, और नॉर्मल इंस्ट्रूमेंट बॉडी वॉइस और माइंड माने जाते हैं। तो मुझे ये वाला टिक करना है अगर माइजनर माइजनर का इंस्ट्रूमेंट पूछा, राइट?
पार्डन फिर से पूछो
लाइक नॉर्मल इंस्ट्रूमेंट जो होता है एक्टर के वो बॉडी वॉइस और माइंड होते हैं, राइट? पर इसमें लिखा है
यस
कि माइजनर की अप्रोच से बॉडी वॉइस और इमोशनल अवेलेबिलिटी है। तो अगर क्वेश्चन में पूछा गया कि माइजनर की अप्रोच से इंस्ट्रूमेंट बताओ तो यही वाला टिक करना है, राइट?
पर सर 5 सेंसेस भी जो है वो भी तो इंस्ट्रूमेंट ही है ना, अकॉर्डिंग टू माइसनर 5 सेंसेस।
देखो नाउ जो आपने बोला दिस काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चन देयर इज अ वेरी लेस चांस टू कम ठीक है कि माइजनर के हिसाब से इंस्ट्रूमेंट क्या क्या है बॉडी वॉइस एंड इमोशनल अवेलेबिलिटी करके पूछ सकते हैं कि ये किसके अप्रोच में इंस्ट्रूमेंटल माना जाता है ठीक है सो बुक में माइजनर के अप्रोच से जो जो लिखा गया है मोर और लेस दिस टूल्स आर वेरी ओवरलैपिंग वेरी देयर इज नो वेरी थीन डिमार्केशन ऑफ इट कि इनके ये दो है इनके ये तीन है बिकॉज बॉडी वॉइस इज एवरीवेयर कुछ कुछ जगह पे इमोशनल अवेलेबिलिटी माइजनर ने बोला है पर किस केस में नहीं चाहिए होता है सो दिस काइंड ऑफ कंफ्यूजिंग क्वेश्चंस रियली डजंट कम बट ये इसलिए इधर रखा गया है टू गिव यू एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ इट कि just in case emotional availability comes into the scenario, you always know that it's Meisner's approach. Okay.
ओके सर, गॉट यू, थैंक यू सो मच।
Sir, I have a small doubt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, माइजनर ने इमोशनल अवेबिलिटी से ज्यादा एक्सटर्नल फिजिकल स्टिमुलस पे जोर दिया, राइट?
Yes.
Yeah, like the 5
Yes.
senses, right?
तो सर इसमें इमोशनल अवेबिलिटी की जगह एक्सटर्नल
Yeah.
स्टिमुलस आना चाहिए ना?
No, that is not an instrument. The instrument is talking about कि actor के instrument क्या क्या है. External stimulus is not in actor's control, right?
ओके सर, बट इमोशनल अवेबिलिटी माइजनर अपनी अप्रोच में कैसे यूज करते हैं, अगर आप थोड़ा बता पाए?
See, basically that's how it works like this कि अगर most of the acting theorist talks about this कि you should first achieve a kind of a neutrality in your body. So pehle your body and mind should be able to come to a point from where it can go anywhere. So your mind should be free of any emotional baggage because if you have studied science in 11th 12th you know how vector works okay कि आपने अगर मान लो आप बीच में हैं अगर आपने 3 steps toward ईस्ट लिया है तो उसके बाद 5 steps toward वेस्ट लेने के बाद आप 2 step ही toward वेस्ट जा पाएंगे बिकॉज आपको पहले 3 step वापस आना पड़ेगा सो इट ऑलवेज इंपॉर्टेंट टू रिमेन इन द सेंटर द न्यूट्रल पॉइंट सो यू कैन गो एनीवेयर यू वांट
ओके
अगर
सर,
आपके पास कोई भी इमोशनल बैगेज होता है सो वट एवर रिएक्शन यू गोना पुट और वट एवर emotional imposition that gonna happen in the scene it gonna give a resultant effect of it it won't be able to pull off a complete genuine reaction out of yourself understood
Okay, sir. So emotional availability herein means creative neutral state.
Yes, basically creative neutral state. Yes.
Okay.
So having a clean slate, so you can write whatever in it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. What are circumstances in Meisner's training? हो गया. The who, what, where, and why. What is Meisner's stance on emotional recall? He rejects it in favor of present moment stimulus. Already we have discussed it. What does don't do anything unless something happens to you mean? Acting should be reactive, not mechanical or self-initiated. आपको खुद से कुछ नहीं करना है, जो हो रहा है उसी पे रिएक्ट करना है. What is the actor's job according to Meisner? To respond truthfully in the moment and be impulsive. How is truthfulness measured in Meisner's work? By honest emotional and behavioral response. What is the use of point of view in Meisner's acting to make personal, specific choices in a scene? Why are imaginary relationships important? They make scenes emotionally specific and meaningful. How does Meisner define doing? Genuine action driven by intention and stimulus. What is impulse training in Meisner's work? Exercises that develop instinctive responses. Why does Meisner avoid indicating? Because it is false and unauthentic behavior. What is the difference between reacting and responding? Reacting is spontaneous and emotional. Responding may be delayed or processed. Okay. आपको again just word play. You are supposed to react because जब आप एक्टिवली सुनते हैं तभी आप रिएक्ट कर पाते हैं. जब आप रेस्पॉन्ड करते हैं तो ऐसा एक नोशन होता है कि इट माइट बी डिले हो जाएगा और नहीं तो ऐसे प्री स्ट्रक्चर्ड हो सकता है. How do Meisner's actor avoid self-consciousness? By shifting focus entirely to their scene partner, co-actor basically. What is the purpose of the activity in early repetition work? To give the actor something real and urgent to do. Why is listening under pressure key in Meisner training? It reveals the actor's true behavior and emotional state. What does Meisner mean by instinct over intellect? Emotional impulse is more truthful than intellectual planning. How does repetition evolve in Meisner's training? From mechanical to emotionally charged to organic conversation. Why is preparation done before the scene begins? To enter the scene truthfully from the start. How is relationship defined in a Meisner scene? Through imagined history and emotional investment in the partner. See, here also imagination plays a pivotal part. It has to, like there is no option to it. What is door work in Meisner's technique? Preparation involving emotional stakes and imaginary situation. What kind of scenes are used in later Meisner training? Partner-based, emotionally connected with clear objectives. Like when the scene-making part comes and the advanced exercises, so all these partner-based, emotionally connected, clear objective kind of exercises are done. What is the actor's need in a scene? The emotional drive behind their objective. What are given circumstances? The facts and context of the story that influence behavior. ये कुछ रिपीटेटिव क्वेश्चन इसलिए आते हैं बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ द लेटर theoretician takes a major chunk of their inspiration from Stanislavski. So they have a they drifted apart obviously in characterization part of it, but in the preparatory part of it they somehow always said that key you can use Stanislavski for the basic preparation, but then obviously from the point where their practice differed from Stanislavski, they made a very clear and definite approach to that. But a given circumstances is something that almost Everyone used. Okay. Few didn't also, but yeah, most of them used. What is the value of private moment exercises? They build emotional honesty and vulnerability. What is Meisner's ultimate goal for an actor? To live fully and truthfully in the imaginary world of play. And we're done with Meisner. Next is Strasburg. What is the core concept behind Strasburg's method acting? Using personal emotional memory to inform performance. Who influenced Strasburg's acting philosophy the most? Konstantin Stanislavski. What is effective memory in Strasburg's technique? Recalling past emotional experience to recreate it on stage. Effective memory is basically emotional memory. उसी का bookish term है effective memory. Okay. Why is relaxation important in Strasburg's exercises? It removes physical and emotional tension to allow truthful expression. What does Strasburg mean? Again, जो वो आप creative neutrality बोल रहे थे, this is what it's talking about, relaxation, okay? To allow truthful expression. What does Strasburg mean by substitution? Replacing fictional circumstances with real life analogs. What is the goal of the sense memory exercise? To train the actor to recall sensory experiences vividly. Basically talking about effective memory. What is the difference between sense memory and emotional memory? Sense memory involves physical sensations, emotional memory taps into feelings. How is the private moment? Okay, ये थोड़ा explain कर देता हूँ. The difference between sense memory and emotional memory. Sense memory involves physical sensation, emotional memory taps into feelings. Because emotional memory is related to, like, if you're talking about sadness, love, anger, and then remembering those kind of memory, going back to those memories, taps into those feelings. It generates and triggers those feelings in you. Sense memory involves physical sensation, like if you consider of a taste, if you consider of like getting hurt or something, like physical hurt. So it can develop those kind of physical sensations. Okay, which in turn generate emotions only, feelings only. How is the private moment used in Strasbourg training? To help the actor behave truthfully as if alone in front of an audience. Isolation. So basically, isolation, जो private moment की बात कर रहे थे, circle of attention की बात कर रहे थे, ये ही नाम बदल के स्ट्रासबर्ग तक private moment isolation के नाम पे आ पहुंचा है. What is the purpose of animal exercise? Animal exercise in Strasbourg training to develop physical transformation and psychological traits. Because the basic instinct, basic desires has a lot of do with the animalistic instincts. And from that point of view, animal exercises, it helps to develop physical transformation and to achieve psychological traits in it. Why is concentration emphasized in method acting? It keeps the actor focused and grounded in the imaginary world. It keeps it keeps the actor focused and grounded in the imaginary world.
Your
How does
voice is
Strasbourg
breaking.
method? Oh, how can it be? I'm in a very strong network area. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Clear?
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Uh, why is concentration emphasized in method acting? It keeps the actor focused and grounded in the imaginary world. How does Strasburg's method differ from Meisner technique? Strasburg uses internal memory, Meisner emphasizes external impulse. What is justification in Strasburg's approach? Finding a reason for every action the character takes. Why must the actor believe the imaginary circumstances so the emotional responses can be truthful and grounded? What is the moment before in Strasburg's training? Emotional and psychological preparation leading into a scene. Because it's all pre-planned and pre-prepared, so there is a moment before. The preparation part of it is there, which is not available in the Meisner technique. What is the goal of the mirror exercise? To improve self-awareness and detailed observation of behavior. This mirror exercise is again not the typical mirror exercise that every theater workshop does in the uh, beginning days. Okay, this mirror exercise is much more detailed, in which you are supposed to not only imitate the uh, action or the physical gesture of the person in front of you, you are supposed to also imitate the psychological part of it, so that the object and the image both can have an uh, subsequent or simultaneous awareness of how a particular emotion and particular action is reflecting on their body. Okay, how is it's not only to approach awareness. Okay, how is the coffee cup sense memory exercise practiced? By recalling every detail of handling a cup to improve sensory realism. So it's very easy, but again, very detailed. You hold a cup copy and then you just start explaining about it, talking about it in whatever detail you want to talk. Okay. क्लास में हमने डिस्कस किया था that how you can describe 1 hour of your day in 1 minute also, in 10 minutes also, and you can talk about 1 hour of your day in 2 hours also. Okay, so how you stretch it and add more and more detail in it, and how you shrink it to take out detail from it and only leave important chunks of it. So if you sum it up in 1 minute also, then you choose to the most important things. So amongst the important also, you choose the most important few things and you share those, and you think that that's how I sum up my 1 hour of the day. Why did Strasberg focus heavily on introspection? Because truthful acting begins with understanding oneself. What role does imagination play in Strasberg's work? It helps extend real memories to serve the character's needs. What is emotional availability in method acting? The ability to access deep personal emotions quickly and safely. How does Strasberg define truth in acting? Behavior that arises naturally from inner experience. Why are as if situations important? They personalize imaginary circumstances with real stakes. It's a motivated version of magic, if you can say. Uh, magic if it's like मान लो, or as if it's like अगर ऐसा हुआ तो. Okay. So if is there, magic makes it something different. Putting in as in the beginning makes it something slightly different. Okay. What is the याद रखना बस magic if is Stanislavski, as if is Strasbourg. What is the actor's instrument in Strasbourg teaching? Their body, voice, memory, emotion. Again, same thing, just slightly here and there.
सर एक
इसलिए मैं बोल
क्वेश्चन
रहा था कि इस अप्रोच से क्वेश्चन आने की पॉसिबिलिटी बहुत कम है. हाँ जी, बोलिए.
एक क्वेश्चन पूछना है 14 नंबर क्वेश्चन में द मूवमेंट बिफोर इन स्ट्रासबर्ग सर इसका और माइजनर का इमोशनल प्रिपरेशन में क्या डिफरेंस है अगर सिर्फ साइकोलॉजिकल उसको हटा दें देन व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस देन
उस तरीके का कोई डिफरेंस है ही नहीं। मैं वही बोल रहा हूं आपको कि सब लोग एक तरीके की न्यूट्रलिटी की बात करते हैं, ठीक
ठीक
है,
है सर।
सब लोग एक तरीके की न्यूट्रलिटी की बात करते हैं, पर द थिंग इज दिस कि जो प्रिपरेशन माइजनर बात करता है, सबके अप्रोच और सबके कॉन्टेक्स्ट अलग है। माइजनर बोल रहे हैं कि आप ऐसा कुछ प्रिपरेशन मत करो विच बिकम्स ए बैगेज। माइजनर्स प्रिपरेशन इज टुवर्ड्स न्यूट्रलिटी, so you can go and respond. Strasburg's preparation is towards the baggage, कि आप सीन का पूरा वाइब पहले ही लेके तैयार होके सीन पे जाइए। सो यू ऑलरेडी लाइक इफ यू आर एंटरिंग इनटू अ डेथ सीन, सो यू ऑलरेडी dead in grief, मतलब you are in extreme grief and then you start portraying the grief in your character. But Meisner is saying that wait until you go inside and see the dead body and you feel the grief in it, and then also only if you project grief and only project that much grief, whatever you are feeling inside. Got it?
Thank you, sir.
What is a sensory checklist? A tool for tracking and developing sense memory responses. What is the function of relaxation chairs in method training? To physically relax the body before deep emotional work. What is the difference between general emotion and specific emotion in acting? Specific emotion is rooted in personal experience. General emotion is vague and theatrical. You can understand it with the words only. What makes sense memory exercises controversial? They can lead to psychological strain if mishandled. How did Strasburg reinterpret Stanislavski? ये सेंस मेमोरी वाला इज द बेसिक थिंग जो मेथड एक्टिंग की मेजर क्रिटिसिज्म है. ओके, हाउ डिड स्ट्रासबर्ग reinterpret Stanislavski system? He emphasized emotional recall more than physical action. What is organic acting according to Strasburg? Behavior that grows naturally from genuine emotional stimulus. What was Strasberg's position at the actor's studio? Artistic director. ये भी आप लोग ना, आई वुड सजेस्ट जितने भी लोग हैं, मतलब हम पढ़ रहे हैं उन सब का एक बार गूगल करके बेसिक जो ओवरव्यू आता है और विकिपीडिया का जो फर्स्ट पैरा आता है बिफोर स्टार्टिंग एवरीथिंग, इट इज द इंट्रोडक्टरी पार्ट ऑफ इट, वो वाला एक बार पढ़ लीजिए, बिकॉज इट हैज ऑल द दोज बेसिक फैक्चुअल इंफॉर्मेशन दैट आई हैव लेफ्ट आउट फ्रॉम दिस क्वेश्चन, वो आपको एक बार मिल जाएगा। और जो ऐसे आर्टिस्टिक डायरेक्टर, एक्टर स्टूडियो, ऑल दिस थिंग्स भी एक बार मिल जाएगा, बस एक बार देख लीजिए रफली, विल बी देयर जस्ट इन केस इट पॉप्स अप इन योर क्वेश्चन, you will be able to at least detect which one is right, which one is wrong. There is multiple ways to answer correctly. One is to know the correct answer, one is to know the wrong answers. So knowing the wrong answers also lead you to the correct answer. What is psychophysical unity? The fusion of mind and body in authentic acting. What is the Lee Strasberg method sometimes criticized for? Overindulgence in self and emotion at the cost of spontaneity. Why must method actors avoid mechanical gestures? Because genuine emotion should drive all behavior. What is meant by instrument tuning in method training? Refining emotional and sensory responsiveness. What is the goal of being private in public? To remain emotionally honest despite being observed. How is repetition used differently in Strasburg versus Meisner?
Sir,
Strasburg, yes?
sorry to interrupt. I have a small doubt, sir.
Yes.
Sir, all the acting methods that we are discussing, it looks like they have taken one aspect of Stanislavski's system and emphasized more than all of the others.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, so basically the father of everything, like till now, even if we study Adler, she focuses more on, just a second.
Very much based on Stanislavski, yes.
Yeah. So, sir, if a question comes in subjective that can you draw differences between Stanislavski or Adler or Stanislavski or Meisner, can we use the line that it in some sense it comes from Stanislavski only?
You can definitely say this. The similarities and dissimilarities already discussed in detail in the theory classes. All the Stanislavski and all these things, the cross-referencing, the similarities and dissimilarities are discussed. But yes, you are right. Uh, Basically, chunks of it. But what makes them stand apart and what makes the major difference is that because these are not mathematics, these are very much subjective thing. Acting is very subjective. So the context matters a lot. सो जैसे ही वो कॉन्टेक्स्ट बदल देते हैं, जैसे ही वो लोग अप्रोच बदल देते हैं, along with the approach and the context, the resultant outcome changes. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
if you approach Meisner, you see that how it very much different कि आप जब Stanislavski के through approach करते हैं characterization को, how it works and how different than when आप Meisner के through approach करते हैं. It doesn't really matter कि Stanislavski से ही इंस्पायर होके माइसनर बना है. It's fine, but because it's not exactly science,
Yes, yes. Just say that.
हाँ, so हाँ,
Yeah.
so it makes a huge difference जैसे
Okay.
ही अप्रोच बदल जाता है. Yeah.
Thank you.
How does a method actor rehearse differently from a classical actor? By emotionally preparing rather than just blocking and repeating lines. Why are autobiographical memories used in acting? To tap into truthful emotional responses like self-memory. Autobiographical memory is in memory of the actor. What is the connection between trauma and effective memory? Strong personal memories often hold deep emotional charges. So Strasburg also says that don't go into trauma. Your emotional memory should not include any trauma of yours. This is just basically a disclaimer to not push you towards the danger areas of your psychological realm. What are emotional triggers in method acting? Specific thoughts, memories, or sensation that activate real emotions. Why must actors leave themselves alone according to Strasbourg? To let authentic emotion rise without forcing it. What is over justification and why is it problematic? Overthinking motivation which can lead to mechanical acting. What is the role of personal history in character development? It gives emotional truth and specificity to fictional roles. What is the first step in building a role using the method? Identify parallels between the actor's life and the characters. What is the sense of truth? The actor's inner gauge for what feels emotionally and behaviorally real. What is the ultimate goal of method acting? Total emotional and psychological identification with the character. Truth, basically. What does Strasbourg say about emotional memory gone wrong? It must be handled carefully to avoid psychological harm. What is the actor's responsibility to themselves in the method? Emotional safety, awareness, and honest work. How does Strasbourg encourage actors to deal with blocks or resistance? Through patient exploration and relaxation techniques. What does it mean to be personally connected to a role? To bring your own life, memories, and emotions into the character's reality. Done. Next, we have Uta Hagen. What is Uta Hagen's central approach to acting? Substitution of personal experience to justify action. Which book by Uta Hagen outlines her acting technique? Respect for acting. What does Hagen call the basic unit of acting behavior? Action. What does Uta Hagen mean by transference? Applying real life emotions to fictional circumstances. एक चीज क्या होता है मैं आपको बता देता हूँ which kind of sums it up all. Stanislavski started working and wanted to talk about emotional memory. Okay. But then at a later part, just later part of his practice, he understood that only basic depending upon emotional memory kind of makes it kind of weak. So he came away also from the emotional memory part of it. But then there are multiple other practitioners who took inspiration from Stanislavski, and some said that emotional memory should be the only thing, that's how you approach it. Some said that no, it should be completely fictionalized. Some said no, nothing. You just have to be there and react accordingly. And some said you take emotional memory as a reference to recognize the emotions and then put it on the fictional. So it's just permutation combination of all the basic tools that basically human is using to approach a character. Okay, it's limited है ना. एक इंसान बॉडी में और क्या ही कितनी ही चीजें हो सकती है कैरेक्टर को अप्रोच करने के लिए. सो घुमा के फिरा के परमुटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन करके. बट जैसे कि अगर आपके पास 1 to 0 to 9 डिजिट्स है, 10 डिजिट्स है in the decimal system, and you can create infinite numbers with it, and every number holds a different value. In the same way, whatever the tools or instruments we have as a human body, including the mind and imagination part of it, every permutation combination gives a different value to it. So that's why all the theorist or this practitioner brings different kind of acting technique to the stage. Yes.
Sir, I found Meisner's a bit different because it relies more on spontaneity, so you don't have to prepare beforehand, or you just have to prepare.
So basically denying all, but Meisner भी आप detail में पढ़ेंगे, you will see that the preparation part of it is focusing on Stanislavski only.
Yes,
He says
yes,
that. Use
yes,
Stanislavski. Yes,
yes.
yes. Okay, someone wants to take a break. I think it's fine. Yeah, we can take a break. We'll take a 10 minutes break. Fine. Don't go anywhere. Just be here. We will resume the class on 7:50. Okay.
Okay.
कोई भी, मैं रिपीट करता हूँ, कोई भी एग्जाम देने नहीं आएगा
Okay. Am I audible? Cross checking the technical stuff again.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You're
Okay. Okay. I didn't say anything in between. Someone else was saying something in between. Okay. I just unmuted my mic. So yes, no one say anything irrelevant in between.
So someone just came and said that I repeat, कोई exam देने नहीं आएगा, and he just left.
Yeah, I got scared for a moment, but then
Yeah, me too.
I understood that some mistake is happening. Yeah, these small things keep 3 hour session going. Driving, okay. We need something
कोई
like
मत
this. Yeah.
जाना, कोई
Yes,
मत
yes,
जाना,
those
मैं
also.
अकेला
Yeah.
जाऊंगा.
Good strategy though. Whatever. Yeah. Back to session. Yes. Uh, what is meant by destination in Hagen's work? A physical or emotional goal to pursue out on stage. What role does memory play in Hagen's method? It fuels personalization and believability. Now onwards, if I don't feel like it needs some kind of explanation, I won't stop. I will keep on doing it because we still have a lot to cover. Okay. How does Hagen suggest an actors explore a character's inner life through object exercise and personal research? Again, the given circumstances, the research part of it, like what are the actors is doing and all. What is Hagen's who am I question? A prompt to define the character's identity. Same thing, different costume. What's the goal of what if in Hagen's work? To spark imagination through plausible hypotheticals. From magic if she changed to what if. What does Hagen mean by psychological truth? Emotional logic grounded in genuine response. What are 9 questions in her acting analysis? Tools to explore a character's full context. Uh, is my voice cracking for everyone?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Because I have very good network. Yep.
सर
Then
बीच
it's
में
only your problem. Someone just texted that my voice is breaking for her. I think then it's your network. I'm sorry.
सर बीच में ब्रेक हो जाती है.
अगेन
It should
सर
be
ये ब्रेक होना स्टार्ट हुई है. मेरे पास तो वाईफाई से कनेक्ट हूँ मैं, यहाँ तो प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, नेटवर्क भी फुल है.
I'm also in good network, but yeah,
सर
I will try. I will try.
अभी तो सही आ रही सर आवाज.
हो सकता है मेरे से भी प्रॉब्लम है क्योंकि बहुत आंधी तूफान बारिश चालू है बाहर. So having a good network also doesn't mean that like I'm having good speed or something. Okay, if you are getting it, you are not getting it. It's just life. That's how life works. I'm sorry. But it's getting recorded. You will get the recording, I think. And the recording is happening on my side, so it will get everything crystal clear. What is her attitude towards indicating? She strictly opposes it as it false and external. What is the core difference between doing and showing in Hagen's approach? Doing leads to truth, showing leads to artificiality, as usual. What is Hagen's stance on rehearsal? It's for exploration, not repetition. 9 questions are done in the class. If time permits, give you a glimpse of it. Basically, to understand character, 9 questions. You bring any question that helps you to understand the character, it's equivalent to 9 questions. If you can do it in 3 questions, it's equivalent. If you do it in 90 questions, then also it's equivalent to it. What does Hagen suggest to break habitual acting choices? Object exercises to discover fresh behavior. What's the 3 entrances exercise? Create backstories for 3 different entrances into a room. How should actors use observation? According to Hagen, observe real life to enrich detail and behavior. What is Hagen's term for in the moment
I have a
presence?
doubt. ये
Yes.
जो व्हाट इज द थ्री एंट्रेंस एक्सरसाइज के बारे में ये लिखा है बैक स्टोरी का, तो इसमें मतलब इनके अकॉर्डिंग, हेगन के अकॉर्डिंग, मतलब अलग अलग 3 डिफरेंट बैक स्टोरी बनाना पड़ता है एक सीन में आने के लिए, ऐसा है? बिकॉज हम लोग तो जब कैरेक्टराइज करते हैं तो हम एक ही बैक स्टोरी उसकी पूरी बनाते हैं, मतलब फ्रॉम चाइल्डहुड टू यू नो वो जो एज में है.
It's just having multiple perspectives. It's not basically 3 different stories. Okay. Perspective matters. Yes. It's talking about perspectives to it.
ओके, मतलब डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव के साथ में जो है आ सकते हो अलग अलग.
Yes, definitely. Because that's what put layers into your characterization. Otherwise, it's very unifocused. है ना?
Yeah.
Very flat. Yeah.
बिकॉज बैक स्टोरी तो एक ही बनती है, राइट? पूरी एक तरीके से.
Definitely. What is Hagen's term for in the moment presence? Immediate sensory reality. What does Hagen emphasize more? Imagination or memory? Both. But imagination fuels action and spontaneity. What is Hagen's opinion on vocal training? Essential for range and emotional clarity. How does Hagen define acting? Living truthfully under imaginary circumstances. What role does specificity play in Hagen's exercises? It prevents generalization and increases believability.
Now, sorry to interrupt. ये इसमें भी लिविंग ट्रूथफुली अंडर इमेजिनरी सर्कमस्टेंसेस आया और माइजनर में भी सेम है, तो अगर
वो स्टैनिस्लावस्की के में भी एक बार आया है.
हाँ, तो इसको अभी अगर ऑप्शन में हमारे पास आएगा तो फिर क्या करेगा? माइजनर, उटा हेगन,
मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, अगर इसको आप इस तरीके से ना देखें, ये आएगा तो रिवर्स तौर पे आएगा. है ना, जहां पे एक ही ऑप्शन होगा, अलग से नहीं होगा.
ओके.
हाँ, because these are very overlapping, so there are few understandings which are more or less similar. है ना?
तो उन लोगों को भी पता है कि मतलब सिमिलर सारे
आपको पता है, ओवरलैपिंग है अंडरस्टैंडिंग, वो जो क्वेश्चन सेट कर रहे हैं उनको भी पता है. सो वो ग्रे एरिया के क्वेश्चन एमसीक्यू में डेफिनेटली पुट अप नहीं करेंगे.
तो उन लोग ऐसा पूछ सकते हैं कि माइजनर, उटा हेगन और इनके क्या है, फिर उसके नीचे ये वाला ऑप्शन देकर
सिमिलरिटीज के अंदर डाल देंगे. ये सिमिलरिटीज के अंदर डाल देंगे. इसीलिए मैंने एमसीक्यू फॉर्मेट नहीं रखा, टू गिव यू एन अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ इट, क्योंकि एमसीक्यू देने से देन यू वुड बी वेरी लिमिटेड टू ऑप्शंस. कि जो बहुत ऑब्जेक्टिवली कैटरिंग टू पर्टिकुलर ट्रेनिंग है, मेथड है, फिर वही अप्रोच कर सकते हैं. फिर हमको ऐसे 20-25 ही सवाल मिलते, 10-15 ही मिलते, ज्यादा नहीं मिलते. What role does specificity play? In my opinion, it will help in making log subject answer because all of them have opinions, not log. Yep. That is also one of my perspective to put in it. Yeah. What role does specificity play in Hagen's exercises? It prevents generalization and increases believability. Why does Hagen advise actors to leave the part? To experience, not imitate. सब लोग imitate करने को मना करते हैं. बाद में आएगा जो imitate करने को ही बोले. What does Hagen mean by stage life? The illusion of a real life existing before and after the scene. How does Hagen propose actors handle nerves? Ground yourself in task and concentration. What is the object exercise? An activity that trains presence, action, and intention. What kind of nerves, nothing hidden meaning in it. The nerve, जो चाहिए, basically the guts. Nervous लगता है, ये लगता है stage fright and all. Yeah. What is the object exercise? An activity that trains presence, action, and intention. What kind of self-work does Hagen advocate? Journaling, analysis, and physical awareness. Chekhov also approach journaling for characterization. How does Hagen view the relationship between emotion and behavior? Emotion follows action. What does Hagen say about improvisation? Use it to explore, not for performance. Yeah, Lee Strasburg. What is the key difference between being and acting? Being is truth-based, acting can be artificial. What does Hagen mean by preparation before a scene? Emotional and physical readiness grounded in character. Again, just comes under a different nomenclature, neutrality. Why does she insist on researching characters' time and place? It shapes behavior, language, and point of view. What does Hagen call internal justification? Logical cause for every choice an actor makes. What is her stance on emotional recall? Cautiously used, balanced with action. Why is the environment critical in Hagen's work? It informs the actor's physical and emotional life. How does Hagen view the actor's relationship to props? Interact naturally, never act at the object. Because when you act at the object, it starts artificial if you don't build up a relationship to it. What is Hagen's approach to motivation? Every moment must have a need driving it. What is her critique of result-oriented acting? It kills spontaneity and honesty. How does Hagen view repetition? It must lead to discovery, not mechanical behavior. What is the actor's biggest enemy, according to Hagen? Self-consciousness. What does Hagen say about the audience? Ignore them, focus on imaginary reality. What is moment-to-moment living in her training? Truthful reactions in sequence without planning. What is her advice on timing and pacing? Let it emerge from the truth of the moment. Why is tension destructive in Hagen's view? It blocks physical and emotional availability. What does Hagen say about cliché in acting? Avoid it. It erases originality and truth. What does Hagen call the actor's craft? A lifelong study of self, behavior, and truth. What is the essence of Hagen's legacy? Honest, personalized, and fully lived performance. The quintessential Stella Adler is here. What is the core of Stella Adler's acting philosophy? Imagination over recall. What did Adler reject from Strasburg method? Effective memory is harmful and limiting. Who trained Stella Adler in Moscow in 1934? Konstantin Stanislavski. What did Stanislavski teach Adler that changed her view? That imagination, not emotional memory, is what drives great acting. What is Stella Adler's definition of acting? Reacting truthfully in imagined circumstances. What does Adler mean by circumstance is everything? It shapes the actor's behavior and emotion. I was wrong earlier. Imagination here is the Adler's only. I'm sorry, I had some misunderstanding in my mind. I'm sorry for that. Huh? Correct yourself. Imagination is Stella. Chekhov's imagination is there, but then after Chekhov, it's Stella Adler who picked up imagination after Chekhov. But yes, Chekhov is the first one. Uh, yes, Lee majorly uses sensory memory. Chekhov is the first one to focus on imagination as part of character approach, but then Stella Adler reintroduced and popularized it. Okay, I'm sorry for the misinformation. What is the first step in characters creation for Adler? Imaginative understanding of the given circumstances. Why did Adler emphasize? Yes, first Chekhov, then Adler, definitely. Chekhov is the first one, without any doubt. First, uh, said that imagination is the ultimate tool for actor, but then later on, two, three people that did it, they did not focus on imagination much. They talked about imagination, but they didn't put it on a pedestal. But yeah, Stella Adler again put it on the pedestal and popularized it a lot because Adler was practicing in USA and the Hollywood helped her popularizing it. What does Adler mean by your talent lies in your choices? Thoughtful decisions shape truthful performances. What role does a script play in Adler's training? It's the actor's Bible. Everything begins with the text. This is also very new. Okay. After Stanislavski, Adler focusing on text this much. In between, people were more on the preparatory part of it, not much focused onto the acting, where Meisner completely denied text in a way, but again, Adler said that it's Bible for it. So, like putting up again in a pedestal for the actor. How does Adler define?
Basically, Stella Adler is totally opposite if we see Meisner.
Sorry, आपकी आवाज नहीं आई मुझ तक बोलिए.
बेसिकली स्टेला एडलर जो है वो पूरा अपोजिट है मतलब माइकल के हिसाब से उनके लिए टेक्स्ट बाइबल है वहां पर माइकल जो बोल रही थी आपको टेक्स्ट बताना है
Very much opposing. Very much
yeah
opposing.
very
Yes,
much
yes, yes.
opposite so it is easy to identify स्टेला एडलर के लिए अगर आया तो
Very much opposing. Yes.
yes okay.
How does Adler define imagination? A tool to emotionally and sensorially enter the character's world. What's her critique of emotional recall? It limits expression and can harm the psyche. What is given circumstance? The world of the play as defined by the playwright. What is the role of action in Adler's method? They are the vehicle through which characters live. What does she mean by develop a point of view? The actors must have strong opinions and values in the role. Why is understanding the world of the play essential? To embody the time, place, and social norms authentically. What does Adler call the actor's responsibility to uplift, not imitate reality? What is size in Adler's work? The magnitude of imagination and emotional stakes. What does she mean by don't act, be? Avoid performance, seek truthful experience. How does Adler use poetry and literature in training to refine the actor's taste and expressiveness? Why must actors observe the world to collect हो जाएगा red substitution musician both? Yes, yes, yes. Why must actors observe the world to collect behavioral detail and enrich characters' work? What is the danger of narcissism in acting? Per Adler, it centers the self over story and audience. What is Adler's view on transformation? Adler's prominent tool is imagination. Yes, and then text. What is Adler's view on transformation? Imagination, not memory, enables characters change. What did she mean by make the invisible visible? Show inner life through outer action. What's her method of script analysis? Break down beats, objective, action, and world context. Stanislavski. Why must actors know history, art, and culture to portray characters outside their personal experience? What does the bigger the actor, the bigger the world mean? Great actors imagine greater circumstances. How does Adler define empathy in acting? Understanding and expressing the inner life of others. What is meant by playing an action? Pursuing a goal through active behavior. What is the purpose of rehearsal according to Adler? To explore and grow, not to fix results. What's her view on spontaneity? It must arise from deep imaginative preparation. Why must actors avoid cliché? It blocks originality and specific choices. Same like stereotype. What does Adler call the actor's voice? A musical instrument requiring training and discipline. Why is language sacred in Adler's training? Words are the actor's primary tool. What is doing the homework? Knowing every detail about the role and world. What is the danger of typecasting in her view? It limits the actor's range and artistry. What does get off yourself mean? Focus on the world, not internal feelings. What is Adler's view on personal psychology in acting? It should support, not dominate, character work. What is the actor's job in society according to Adler? To elevate and enlighten the audience. Why is meaning central to performance? Without it, action is hollow. What is her view on the rehearsal process? It is where imagination depends into truth. Why must actors be intellectually curious, understand and interpret complex material? What does she say about audience connection? It comes from belief, not performance tricks. How should actors handle difficult roles? With empathy, research. I am not. I cannot say about that. I provide the materials to Naresh sir, and he will maybe circulate it. Okay, depends on him. I really cannot say anything about it. Screen recording शायद मिल जाएगी, yes. It comes from belief, not performance tricks. How should actors handle difficult roles? With empathy, research, and imaginative courage. What is Adler's legacy to American acting? A disciplined, imaginative, and elevated craft. What did she call the actor's hunger? A need to understand the world in depth. What did Adler believe about art and politics? Great acting, actress job society. What is that? What it is you are talking about, actress job? To elevate, enlighten the audience. Okay. So it's basically to show that an actor should it's a responsible job. Okay. This is the MCQ that you're discussing. Okay. Actor's job in the society is basically to elevate and enlighten the audience, means it's a responsible job, and through it, the purpose is not only to entertain. Okay. Rather than along with the entertainment, it should elevate and educate also, enlighten also. Enlighten part may entertainment and education comes together in it. Okay. So typically, entertainment segment is not the only part of it.
So basically, I think primary job of an actor is to hold a mirror up to the society. I think so. So not only entertainment. So,
Yes, yes, yes.
right?
What did Adler believe about art and politics? Great acting must speak to human condition. Why must actors read philosophy and psychology? To understand inner life and social forces. What is character work in Adler's system? A blend of observation, empathy, and transformation. What is the ultimate purpose of Adler's method? To create acting that is large, truthful, and imaginative. Grotowski. What is the central principle of Grotowski's poor theater? Eliminate everything non-essential to focus on the actor-audience relationship. Grotowski, amongst all the technique, is very different. Three major different techniques are Grotowski, Meisner, and Brecht. Brecht will come after Grotowski, but Grotowski is another one which is very much different kind of acting approach. Okay. What does Grotowski mean by poor theater? Theater stripped of spectacle, relying solely on actors and audience. So nothing of show off करने के लिए कुछ नहीं है. What did Grotowski replace set props costumes with? The actor's body and voice. So actors should solely depends upon their tools, body and voice. That's it. In which book did Grotowski outline his theories? Towards a Poor Theater, published in 1968. What is via negativa in? It's leading to third theater. It's leading to third theater. Not exactly third theater, but yes, it's leading to. This is Grotowski is mostly physical theater, but which physical theater with a meaning and a perspective will later on go to third theater afterwards. Yes. What is via negativa in Grotowski's practice? The process of removing physical and psychological blocks in the actor. The name is only via negativa. It's basically to remove the blocks or blockages or baggages. What does Grotowski say about the use of text? Text is secondary, physical action and emotional truth is the primary thing. How does Grotowski define the actor's role? A holy sacrifice of self before the audience. So the transformation is holy sacrifice from self to character. What is the ideal state of an actor in Grotowski's theater? Total vulnerability and complete physical or emotional availability. What does holy actor mean in his method? An actor who commits fully and sacrifices ego in service of the role. What does Grotowski call the actor's craft? A form of spiritual discipline or self-revelation? What does Grotowski mean by acting as penetration? Going beyond imitation to reach emotional and spiritual truth. Why did Grotowski reject traditional stage lighting? To remove the illusion and place the audience inside the action. So there is no hide and seek from the audience. Audience should know it all and in truth, in genuinity, and in reality. It's the actor's responsibility to convince the audience of the all the make-believe character they are playing.
But at the same time, lights and everything is also, correlated with the acting. तो उससे ही तो convince
It
होगा.
enhances, it contributes to the acting, but Grotowski thinks that actors should do it all on their own.
Okay. Without
Because
lights.
that makes their truth more convincing. That makes the efforts of the actor more holy, more sacrificing, and because by holy and sacrificing it becomes a ritual for the actor. So it's more truthful, more genuine, more close to their skin. Okay.
Okay.
What did he say about the spectator's role? Spectators are co-creators of the theatrical experiences. So actor and spectator creating the experience together, not only actors doing it. Why does Grotowski emphasize physical training? To unlock the actor's expressive potential and remove tension. What is plastics in Grotowski's training? A series of physical exercises to increase bodily control and expression. What is corporeal dramaturgy? Storytelling through physical gestures rather than words. Physical theater, basically approaching. What's the purpose of voice training in Grotowski's work? To liberate the natural voice from cultural constraints. To get rid of the diction, accent, or anything. Okay. Why does he focus on archetypes and myth? They tap into universal human experience and bypass intellect. What is the difference between holy and profane actors? Holy actors sacrifice ego, profane actors seek applause. So be holy, not profane. How does Grotowski view the rehearsal process? A laboratory for deep personal and physical exploration. What does he mean by theater as a ritual? Their theater should be a transformative experience for all involved. Why is silence important in Grotowski's theater? It can carry more emotional weight than words. What role does improvisation play in his training? It allows actors to access deeper instincts and truth. How does Grotowski view realism? As superficial if it lacks spiritual and physical depth. Realism is not something Grotowski pursuing, okay? What is his critique of commercial theater? It caters to spectacle and entertainment, not truth. So Grotowski says wherever there is an entertainment, the truth is not there. If there is truth, then it should be approached and achieved in its rawest form. What does Grotowski call the actor's instrument? The body and voice, trained to full expressive potential. Though everyone talks about rigorous training, out of which Grotowski is the one who talks about the most rigorous training for actor, because he has only actor as a device and nothing else to communicate his thought to the audience. What is inner action in his method? The emotional or spiritual intention behind every movement. Why does Grotowski reject elaborate costumes? They distract from the actor's naked emotional expression. What is the goal of poor theater for society? A return to authentic human connection. How does Grotowski define relationship between space and audience? Intimate and transformative, not passive or observational. What does ritualistic theater mean in his work? Theater rooted in spiritual practice and communal engagement. How did he influence physical theater globally? Through a radical focus on the body as the main storytelling tool. What is paratheater in Grotowski's later phase? A form of actor training where performance is removed from the audience entirely. It's paratheater. What was his purpose in eliminating the script in paratheater? To focus on pure, unmediated experiences and self discovery. What does theater of sources refer to in Grotowski's evolution? A global search for spiritual and cultural performance roots. What was the
Can
role
you
of Brecht?
explain that paratheater? Like, for give an example.
Okay, basically, paratheater is what a actor training where performance is removed from the audience entirely. So performance is not at all focus. You can understand it like there are few terms called post, pre, para, meta, alter. So it's not alter theater, it's not meta theater, it's para theater. Uh, it's like a parallel theater that's happening where actor is the most important part of it. So actor is performing for the actor's satisfaction, not for the audience's satisfaction. You
Okay.
see a lot of para theater happening under the umbrella of avant-garde theater in
It's
the
like a
West.
parallel cinema. If you have to understand, like parallel cinema जैसा होता है
Not
ऐसे.
exactly like that. Not exactly like that, but yes,
हाँ,
superficially you can say.
okay.
Superficially you can say.
Not like it's not for the entertainment purpose for the audience.
Definitely not the entertainment purpose, but also here audience से भी ज़्यादा actor की अपनी satisfaction, अपना driving force is more important. Yes, like Bhutto. Definitely like Bhutto. What a wonderful example. Bhutto is very much based on Grotowski's techniques. Definitely Bhutto. Okay. What is the role of breath in his technique? A core tool for connecting voice, body, and emotion. What was Grotowski's view on failure? Essential to artistic and personal growth. How is Grotowski's actor similar to a yogi or monk? Both seek transformation through discipline and self exploration. Why did Grotowski eventually stop making public performances? To focus on the inner process rather than the external product. What is meant by poor theater is rich through the actor. The actor's raw presence is more powerful than any special effect. What does he mean by total act? A performance where the actor sacrifices completely to the role. How did Grotowski influence Peter Brook? Brook adopted his ideas on minimalism and ritual. What is self penetration in his acting philosophy? Deep emotional excavation by the performer. Why is vulnerability key in poor theater? It creates truth and intimacy with the audience. What is the actor's body according to Grotowski? A sacred instrument for storytelling and spiritual offering. Why is repetition important in Grotowski's method? It refines precision and reveals new emotional layers. How is memory used in Grotowski's acting work? As an emotional source, not for relieving trauma, but for transformation. Why is partner work essential in his actor training? To build trust, timing, and energetic connection. What was his belief about mask and makeup? They obscure rather than reveal the actor's true expression. What is Grotowski's legacy in modern theater? A return to actor centered, body driven, spiritually infused performances. Grotowski is very much popular in contemporary theater practice. Okay. Next is the battle Brecht. What is the core philosophy behind Brecht's epic theater? To provoke critical thinking in the audience, not emotional identification. Like Grotowski said that actor and spectator is the ultimate thing in theater. Brecht is saying that more than actor, audience is important. But to make the audience make them feel their importance, the actor should be the most skilled ever. You will understand while I'm discussing. What does Brecht mean by Barmangfon effect? The alienation or distancing effect. It's a German word. Don't go by the word. Just remember this. Wherever you see it, it's alienation. Warfremdungs effect. Okay. What is the primary aim of the alienation effect? To prevent the audience from getting emotionally immersed. Which political ideology shaped Brecht's theater? Marxism. Don't write communism, okay? It's Marxism. What is the role, like in the brief question, if you want to write Marxism. What is the role of the audience in epic theater? Active observers who judge and analyze the action. What theatrical tradition did Brecht oppose? Aristotelian theater, dramatic theater. Which of Brecht's plays is based on anti-war satire, Mother Courage and Her Children? What does Brecht mean by justice? A clear physical expression of social attitude and relationship. What is Lestruck in the Brechtian theater? A teaching play intended for education, not entertainment. Which Brechtian play critiques capitalism through a gangster motive? The Resistible Rise of Arturo V. What does Brecht say about emotion in acting? Actors should present emotion, not become it. So you don't supposed to get engrossed or indulged in it. Okay. Why did Brecht often use placards or projection in plays? To break the illusion and add commentary. What role did music play in Brechtian theater? To interrupt and provoke thought, not to heighten emotion. Who was Brecht's key musical collaborator? Kurt Will. In Brecht's theater, how were scenes structured? Episodically, not in a linear narrative. So very much non-linear narrative was available in Brechtian plays. What's the purpose of direct address in Brecht plays? To engage and challenge the audience directly. Direct address as in talking to the audience, he means. How did Brecht use narration in his plays? To interrupt action and guide interpretation. What is the function of song in epic theater? To comment on the action or contradict it, not support it. Which Brechtian play depicts the struggle of justice through satire? The Caucasian Chalk Circle. Caucasian Chalk Circle. Why did Brecht reject realism? It concealed the social forces behind everyday life. What does Brecht mean by historicization? Presenting events from a historical distance to encourage critique. What does epic in the epic theater signify? A narrative driven structure that focuses on events, not empathy. Which play explores poverty and morality in capitalist society? The Three Penny Opera. Why did Brecht encourage visible lighting and scene changes? To remind the audience they are watching a constructed performance. So nothing organic is happening. To make it look constructed, the organicness is already being practiced in the rehearsal. And that's why they can truthfully play the constructed or the alienation part of it. What is a hub gesture in Brixton acting? A stylized, incomplete action revealing social truth. Which is Brecht's characters is an anti-hero and a war profiteer. Mother Courage. She is a victim of the war and also the prominent anti-war. She makes profit from the war also, and she becomes the victim of the war also. Okay, Mother Courage. What is the not but technique in Brechtian acting? Exploring multiple choices in behavior before settling on odd. He suggests that always have multiple choices, then only setting down to one. There is nothing called impulse, there is nothing called instinct or vulnerability. You should logically come up with multiple choices and then choose one that fits the most. Or in between, like if you want to have
Your
any
voice
kind
is
of changes in your narrative, you can also go for other options as well. Yes.
voice नहीं आ रही है.
Yes.
Still breaking.
I didn't get you. आपकी आवाज मुझ तक आ नहीं रही ठीक से, समझा नहीं मुझे.
फिर से ब्रेक हो रही है. अभी भी ब्रेक हो रही है.
मेरी आवाज ब्रेक हो रही है?
हाँ, आप सही है.
ओके.
वो आप एक बार रिपीट कर दो वापस से.
So having multiple choices is very important. He's saying that ki, there is no place for instinct, impulse, vulnerability, or anything. You use all those things, doesn't matter, but come up with logical options for your action and then use the one that suits the most, that serves the narrative the most, like that. Or in case just in multiple performances, if you feel like bored or you can want to use a different approach to it, you can use other options also, explore other options also. But it should all happen very logically, rationally. Why is contradiction important in Brecht's plays? To reveal complex social realities. What did Brecht believe about catharsis? It does revolutionary potential and must be avoided. Catharsis is purgation of emotion, मतलब विरेचन. इमोशन का निकल जाना is catharsis. ब्रेक्स कहता है कि catharsis बिल्कुल नहीं होना चाहिए, must be avoided. Audience should always take the performance home thinking, intrigued. Which genre did Brecht often parody? Melodrama. How did Brecht view theatre's role in society? As a tool for education and political change. What was the name of Brecht's theatre company? Berliner Ensemble. How did Brecht use costumes in epic theatre? Symbolically to emphasize class or role. What did Brecht say about the audience's emotional detachment? It allows room for social reflection and action. What is the function of contradiction in dialogue? To expose conflict and provoke thought. Which Brecht play focuses on class and military obedience, the decision? What is epic acting? A style where actors present rather than become the character. What is the actor's goal in Brecht's theatre? To demonstrate and expose, not to immerse. How are characters portrayed in Brechtian theatre? As products of their social and economic condition. What does Brecht mean by demonstration in acting? Showing the character's action while maintaining critical distance. Why are Brecht's play often unfinished or open-ended? To reflect ongoing struggle and uncertainty. So whatever is happening in life in society is portrayed in a structural way into the play, into the performance. Which Brecht's play questions morality during war, Mother Courage and her children? What theatrical element does Brecht use to make strange? Juxtaposition and incongruity in staging or language. Why does Brecht avoid emotional climax in his plays? To avoid catharsis and provoke rational analysis. Which key concept guides Brecht's directing method? Social commentary over dramatic illusion. What Brecht's critique for traditional acting? It trains actors to manipulate emotions, not reveal truth. What is Brecht's view of theater aesthetic? Aesthetic must serve political and social function. Brecht is very revolutionary in this way. Why does Brecht reject the fourth wall? It isolates the audience from critical involvement. So Brecht is kind of the one who broke the fourth wall and directly engaged with the audience for the first time in theater.
So basically we can say कि इनका फॉर्मूला जो है मतलब इनका तरीका जो है वो इट्स अबाउट सोशल, थोड़ा सा सोशल ज्यादा है कि सोशल प्लेज वगैरह जो होते हैं
Yes,
उसमें
yes,
ज्यादा
yes, yes,
फोकस
yes.
है. So that's why they
Yes.
are breaking the fourth wall and talking to the audience and delivering the message to the society, right?
Okay, what theatrical element does Brecht use to make strange? Juxtaposition, ingredient in staging or language. So basically placing two different kind of things together. Okay, like the whole point of Brechtian element is to jerk the audience's conscious, so they are forced to think. Not completely meaningless, but rather to differently, not going at all oxymoron kind of a scene placing side by side. So audiences constantly using their brain to make a meaning out of it, and then the forceful thinking is what the make strange means. Okay. Mm. Why does Brecht reject the? What does Brecht say about the playwright's role? To provoke thought, not provide answers. आंसर भी नहीं देना है, only thought provoke करके छोड़ना है, because answers audience will keep on looking for. Okay. How did Brecht influence political theater? उससे पहले open ended चीजें होते ही नहीं थे. Everything used to be very conclusive. Brecht said that open-ended performances are more intriguing rather than conclusive ones. How did Brecht influence political theater worldwide? By inspiring theater as activism and social critic. Major things are done. Now there are three, not minor, but yeah. Let's explore person and their techniques. Okay. The first one is Peter Brook. What is Peter Brook's most influential book on theater theory? The Empty Space. ये तो आप रट लो जिंदगी भर के लिए. दुनिया में कहीं भी आप परफॉर्मेंस, एक्टिंग, थिएटर, फिल्म इसके रिलेटेड जाएंगे, दिस क्वेश्चन इज वेरी क्विंटेसेंशियल. आए तो आपके अहोभाग्य, नहीं तो still you should remember it and also read it. It's very interesting. According to book, what are the 4 types of theater? Deadly, holy, rough, immediate. 4 chapters, 4 types of theater. That's all the book is about. What does Brook mean by deadly theater? Theater is theater that is conventional, lifeless, and disconnected from truth. That is deadly theater. What is immediate theater? Theater that connects directly with the audience in the present moment. Which theater company did Brook lead for decades in Paris? International Center for Theater Research. इसका short form है CIRT इसलिए है because it's a French name. So the French name is written like CIRT, but the English name is International Center for Theater Research. In which play did Brook experiment with multilingual, multicultural ensemble work? The Mahabharata. A very important play he did, Mahabharata, with a global cast. What technique did Brook use to strip theater to its essential minimalistic staging? Which Shakespeare's play did Brook famously reinterpret in a white box set? A Midsummer Night's Dream. What does Brook mean by the empty space? Any space can become a theater when someone performs and another watches. How did Brook view the director's role? As an interpreter who activates the play's essence. Which theorist deeply influenced Brook's early career? Antonin Artaud. Yes, white box set. Because the white box set is like a metaphorical set, and in between, they used to create lots of metaphorical setup. Like so if they want it to be garden, it becomes garden. If they want it to be palace, it becomes palace. If they want it to be forest, it becomes forest. What is rough theater? Theater of the streets, vulgar, energetic, and direct. What is holy theater? Theater that aspires to spiritual or ritualistic depth. What major philosophy influenced Brook's later work? Eastern mysticism and Sufism. Grotowski also very much influenced by Eastern mysticism and Sufism, especially South Asian. Brook also very much influenced. One of the reason he got intrigued by Mahabharata and did it eventually. How did Brook challenge realism in theatre? By emphasizing metaphor, rhythm, and presence over naturalism. Brook's approach encourages actors to focus on what? Presence and truthful connection. What African inspired project did Brook use to explore intercultural theatre? August at the Shiraz Art Festival. What was Brook's stance on language in performance? Nonverbal energy and physical presence transcend language. What did Brook mean by finding the invisible? Exploring the unseen, emotional, or spiritual essence in performance. Which Shakespearean villain did Brook famously reinterpret through psychological realism? Titus Andronicus. Next is Antonin Artaud. Artaud is kind of a father figure to all these unconventional theater practitioner or acting practitioner. He's the father of all, like Grotowski, Brook, and everyone. They think that Artaud is the one first showed the way to unconventional acting, approaching a character mostly to through body. What is Artaud's most influential theory in theater? Theater of cruelty. What does cruelty mean in Artaud's context? A relentless push to reveal inner truth and disrupt the norm. What is Artaud's most famous manifesto? The Theater and its Trouble. It's a book basically, but a very thin book. That's why it's called a manifesto. Not doesn't discuss a lot, but basically crisply talks about the theater of cruelty in the way manifesto is written. Okay, like point wise. What was Artaud's criticism of Western theater? It was too literary and disconnected from the body and spirit. How did Artaud propose to use language on stage? Pure sound and rhythm, not logical dialogue. What theater tradition deeply influenced Artaud? Balinese theater, again, South Asian. What was the goal of theater of cruelty? To awaken audiences through sensory overload and ritual. थिएटर ऑफ क्रुएल्टी के नाम पे आपने सुना होगा द एक्सरसाइज वेयर एक्टर अपने हाथ पे बॉडी पे कैंडल जला के वो मेल्टेड कैंडल ड्रॉप करता है दिस इज वन ऑफ द वेरी सुपरफिशियल एक्सरसाइज फॉर approaching theater of cruelty, but theater of cruelty is much more deeper than that. What kind of staging did Artaud envision? Immersive environmental theater surrounding the audience. What does Artaud mean by double? Theater mirrors both reality and its subconscious counterpart. Why did Artaud reject psychological realism? It limits expression to surface behavior. What was Artaud's view of the actor's body? A sacred instrument of expression beyond words. Which mental condition shaped Artaud's creative and theoretical work? Schizophrenia and psychosis, because Artaud was going through it. What role did ritual play in Artaud's theater? It was central to connecting performers and audience spiritually. Now, don't think that schizophrenia and psychosis helped him because तो ये पागलों का थिएटर है क्या ये करने से पागल होना पड़ेगा क्या इट्स नॉट लाइक दैट इट्स रादर टॉक्स अबाउट कि सी वॉट एवर दिस पागल हो जाएंगे करके जो भी हम बात करते हैं दिस schizophrenia साइकोसिस मैडनेस एंड ऑल और एबनॉर्मलिटी जो हम बात करते हैं इट्स नॉट बेसिकली एबनॉर्मल it means a different way Like the way we understand things, they understand it differently. So while Artaud was going through schizophrenia and psychosis, he understood acting differently, and that's why he probably was able to come up with this perspective altogether, which applies to quote unquote all actors, normal and abnormal both. Okay. What role did ritual play in Artaud's theater? It was central to connecting performers and audience spiritually. What element did Artaud emphasize to replace dialogue? Gesture, sound, light, and movement. How did Artaud view the audience's experience as an emotional and spiritual confrontation? Why did Artaud call for the destruction of the traditional stage to erase the barrier between actor and spectator? What did Artaud think of naturalism in theater? It was dull and lifeless. Which sensory elements did Artaud evade? Screams, lights, violent images, rhythms. What was Artaud's final artistic ambition? To create metaphysical spiritual theater. What key phrase describes Artaud's vision of language? A language of signs, gesture, and cries. There is one definition of Artaud जो मैं आपको बताता हूँ, which maybe help you to understand Artaud a little better. Theater of cruelty is basically a primitive ceremonial experience intended to liberate the human subconscious and reveal man to himself. Okay. Primitive ceremonial experience is important, and what it intends? It intends to liberate the human subconscious, not the conscious. It directly approaching the subconscious and reveal man to himself. So the moment you unlock your subconscious, you will understand the true self of yours. Okay. What is Augusto Boal's? I can definitely repeat the definition. A primitive ceremonial experience intended to liberate the human subconscious and reveal man to himself. Theater of cruelty is all about a primitive ceremonial experience intended to liberate the human subconscious and reveal man to himself. Primitive, matlab adim, it talks about the old, ancient ceremonial experience. Basically talking about the muscle memory, gene pool, and how everything is embedded in our subconscious. And by liberating the subconscious, we will find out the true character of ours. Okay, of ours, of the characters, and everything. The way the primitive ceremonial experiences can be approached or accessed is very painful. That's why it's called theater of cruelty. It's not called theater of cruelty because there is some cruel things happening. Okay, the basic misunderstanding happens about theater of cruelty. Augusto Boal. What is Augusto Boal's most influential theater method? Theater of the oppressed. What was the political aim of Boal's theater? To empower marginalized voices and inspire social change. What is forum theater? A form where audiences intervene in the scene to offer solution. What role does the Joker play in forum theater? Facilitator. Joker is a character in forum theater. Facilitator who mediates between audience and actors. What is invisible theater? Staged scenes in public spaces to provoke real social reaction. What is image theater? Image theater, invisible theater, forum theater, legislative theater. This fourth theater is by Boal. What is image theater? Using static body images to express social or political themes. Which book outlines Boal's core theory? Theater of the oppressed. What inspired Boal's theater practice? Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Two different books. Huh? What does Boal mean by the spect actor? A person who is both spectator and actor in shaping action. Why did Boal oppose Aristotelian catharsis? It pacifies the audience instead of mobilizing them. Boal is also another one who doesn't go for catharsis, because Boal's theater also go for social cause, and wherever social cause is concerned, catharsis is denied mostly in all of the cases. What is the goal of theater of the oppressed? Liberation through action, rehearsal for reality. How does Boal redefine rehearsal? As practice for social change. What did Boal call the first school of operation? The family. What is legislative theater? Theater used to propose and pass real laws. In Boal's view, what is the enemy of the oppressed? I will do it. I'll do it. What is enemy of the oppressed? Passive consumption of stories. Where did Boal develop much of his early political theater? Brazil. What led to Boal's exile? His radical political theater under a military dictatorship. They didn't take it well and exiled him. He left. What does Boal say about theater and reality? Theater is not just a reflection of reality, but a rehearsal for action. What theatrical tradition did Boal reject? Traditional Western spectator-based theater. What does Boal mean by everyone can act? Every human is capable of expression and transformation. Boal is not much into acting. Rather, Boal is like अगर आपने समझा दिया जो चीजें हैं, that's all. Okay, that's all. I'll just talk a little and then we'll just go for it. सो बोअल्स की जो मेथड है वो मेथड में ज्यादातर इस तरीके से डिपेंड करता है कि किस कैसे आप सिचुएशन के अप्रोच करते हैं कि सिचुएशन अगर समझ में आ गया देन दैट इज मोर देन एनफ एक्टिंग सो बोअल इज नॉट मच बिग इनटू characterization, rather he is more focused into the using theater as a tool for social change. So he rehearsed a lot to understand how the audience might react. Like forum theater is all about that आप 70% of the play perform करते हैं and then for the last 30% you leave it to the audience. The audience should decide whatever the change is gonna happen, how the play should change, how the play should end. So sometimes audience come up and also play the character as an actor. Okay, तो इस वजह से दे हैव टू प्रिपेयर विथ मल्टीपल एंडिंग्स बिकॉज एकदम सुपरफिशियल नहीं हो सकता. देयर शुड बी सम काइंड ऑफ ट्रूथ इन द परफॉर्मेंस. सो considering everything, so they prepare उस अप्रोच से rather than approaching a objective truth of the character. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस बाकी जितने भी हैं वो सारे एक तरीके से एक बार ना एक बार ट्रूथ को अचीव करते ही हैं. बी इट आर्थो, ब्रोक, इवन ग्रोतोस्की आल्सो टॉक्स अबाउट इट. कैथारसिस के बारे में बात करने के लिए बोल रहे थे. कैथारसिस बेसिकली एरिस्टोटल टर्म है. एरिस्टोटल ने जब ट्रेजेडी को डिफाइन किया था, एरिस्टोटलियन ट्रेजेडी को ग्रीक थिएटर के टाइम पे, देन ही सेड दैट ट्रेजेडी का मेन फंक्शन है, बिकॉज ग्रीक थिएटर अगर आपने पढ़ा होगा आपको पता होगा इट्स नॉट ओनली परफॉर्मेंस, इट्स अ पॉलिटिकल थिएटर अगेन. सो उसमें द ट्रेजेडीज मेन फंक्शन वाज टू सर्व, वाज टू इंड्यूस कैथारसिस इन द ऑडियंस. ठीक है, और कैथारसिस किसके थ्रू होता था तब के वक्त पे? पीटी एंड फियर के थ्रू. पर उन्होंने उधर डेफिनेशन देके वो चले गए. उसके बाद कैथारसिस remained with acting world, the performance world, the theater world till date, and catharsis is works as a purgation of emotion. Now it doesn't necessary to induce it through pity and fear, but it can be induced in any way. Whenever like you feel overwhelmed and आप जब मूवी देख के बहुत रोते हैं, आपको मूवी देख के इतना अच्छा लगता है, ये जो फील गुड मूवीज है, जो ट्रेजेडी फिल्म्स है, जो देख के आप रोते हैं, आप कपल्स के लिए रूट करने लग जाते हैं, एंड देन यू चीयर फॉर इट, एंड फिल्म के बाद आपको लगा कि क्या ही मारा बाद में एंड में हीरो ने विलेन को. सो ऑल ऑफ दिस थिंग्स आर कैथारसिस. सो ये कैथारसिस कहाँ से हो रहा है? दिस कैथारसिस इज लिंक्ड टू योर सबकॉन्शियस. आपके अंदर के सप्रेस्ड जो चीजें हैं उन चीजों का एक तरीके से achievement you feel through others. So that's how catharsis happens. Catharsis never happens on your own self. Catharsis doesn't happen when you do something and you feel it. It's not a sense of achievement or satisfaction. Catharsis is only applied when समथिंग एल्स, एक्सटर्नल स्टिमुलस के थ्रू, किसी दूसरे के अचीवमेंट के थ्रू आप अपने सेल्फ अचीवमेंट को देख पा रहे हैं। ठीक है, आ गया समझ में? सो दैट्स व्हाई कैथारसिस इज अंडरस्टूड आल्सो एज ए प्रोसेस ऑफ प्यूरिफिकेशन, एज ए प्रोसेस ऑफ क्लींजिंग, कि आपको हल्का लगता है होने के बाद।
तो सर क्या इसको ऐसे समझ सकते हैं जैसे भाव से रस की उत्पत्ति होती है, तो लाइक कथारसिस लाइक काइंड ऑफ रस की उत्पत्ति होना?
नहीं नहीं, रस की उत्पत्ति होना है, रस की
राइट।
उत्पत्ति होना है। ये जो इंडियन टेक्निक है, इंडियन
हम्म।
टेक्निक डजंट टॉक अबाउट कैथारसिस, इट्स टॉक अबाउट
ओके
एक्सपीरियंस।
ओके
आई एम टॉकिंग इन ए फिलोसॉफिकल वे, ठीक है? ही डजंट टॉक अबाउट इट, बट हाँ, अगर आपने कोई चीज एक्सपीरियंस किया उसके बाद जो कैथारसिस है, मतलब कैथारसिस को उन्होंने एज ए नोमेनक्लेचर एड्रेस नहीं किया है, पर हो ही सकता है। बट दोज टू आर लाइक वेरी क्लोजली रिलेटेड। जहां पे रस निष्पत्ति हो रहा है, उसके तुरंत बाद ही कैथारसिस होने के बहुत ज्यादा पॉसिबिलिटीज हैं,
ओके
बहुत
गॉट
ज्यादा
इट।
पॉसिबिलिटीज है। ठीक है, अ, अगर मैं क्विकली सम अप करूं एक बार, तो पीछे से शुरू कर देते हैं। बोअल का मैंने बता दिया, मोस्टली फॉर सोशल चेंज, नॉट मच इनटू एक्टिंग पार्ट ऑफ इट, बट यस, मोर प्रोन टू रिहर्सल, so that all kind of possible outcomes can be prepared prior. And Arto ka theater of cruelty, which is not much verbal, but rather more towards the ritualistic process. It's kind of works as a foundation for all the non-conventional, unconventional acting techniques. उसके बाद जितने भी आते हैं, it mostly focuses on symbolism, semiotics. It more focuses on the ritualistic aspects of human life. पीटर ब्रूक अगेन बहुत ज्यादा आर्तो से इन्फ्लुएंस्ड है, बहुत ज्यादा ग्रोतोस्की से इन्फ्लुएंस्ड है। फिजिकल थिएटर को अप्रोच करते हैं, बट मिनिमलिस्टिक सेटअप को ज्यादा प्रेफर करते हैं। ठीक है, ही ऑल्सो फोकसेस ऑन ट्रुथ फॉर द एक्टर, बट इन ए मिनिमलिस्टिक सेटअप। ब्रेक्स्ट बोल रहा है कि आप फुल स्टैनिस्लावस्कियन सिस्टम फॉलो करके ट्रुथ को अप्रोच करो, और जब आप अल्टीमेट ट्रुथ अप्रोच कर जाएंगे, अचीव कर लेंगे, उसके बाद उस ट्रुथ को ब्रेक कर दो, so that alienation can be put into the scenario. एलिनेशन के थ्रू ब्रेक्स्ट अपना जो सोशल कमेंटरी है दैट कैन बी प्लेस्ड, और एलिनेशन में क्या होता है, कैरेक्टर फॉर ए फ्रैक्शन ऑफ सेकंड निकल के आ जाता है कैरेक्टर से, एक्टर कैरेक्टर से निकल के आ जाता है, और फिर कुछ बोलता है, मतलब सीन तोड़ देता है, और इमीडिएटली दे गो बैक इनटू द सीन टू गिव ऑडियंस द जर्क। अब इस जर्क में इमीडिएटली कैरेक्टर छोड़ के कैरेक्टर पकड़ना कोई बच्चों का खेल है नहीं। तो ये जब ब्रेक्ट को समझ में आया, तो ब्रेक्ट ने इसके लिए ये जुगाड़ निकाला कि भाई पहले ट्रूथ अचीव कर लो, एंड देयर आर सर्टेन ब्रेक्सटियन टेक्निक्स थ्रू व्हिच ब्रेक्ट उनको ट्रूथ से वापस डीकंस्ट्रक्ट करके, ब्रेक डाउन करके ट्रूथ से दूर लाते थे। सॉरी, एक सेकंड, मुझे देखने दो वो सवाल। Which of the following is the unique Indian concept of performance aesthetics as compared to the use of emotional memory, training the body and voice, expression, gesture, specific behavior in situational context, the use of action principle, the psychological realign. Training the body, voice, expression, and gesture to specific behavior in situational context. This is very close to Natya Shastra. B is the answer. B is the answer here. ओके, तो ब्रेक्स्ट और स्टानिस्लावस्की में जो मेजर डिफरेंस है, एक कहानी है, ऐसा बताया जाता है कि अगर आप कोई नाटक देखने गए हैं, तो स्टानिस्लावस्की चाहता है कि आप जब नाटक देखें और आप नाटक देखते देखते एक सिगरेट लगा जलाए हाथ में, तो आपके हाथ में सिगरेट जैसे का वैसा रह जाए और आप नाटक देखते रह जाए, और इवेंचुअली आपकी उंगली जल जाए, और आपको ऐसा चस्का लगे कि अरे नाटक देखते देखते मैं सिगरेट पीना भूल गया। बट ब्रेक्स इज सेइंग दैट आप नाटक देखने आएंगे, परफॉर्मेंस देखने आएंगे और अपने हाथ में सिगरेट जलाएंगे, तो आपको नाटक का भी मजा आएगा और साथ ही साथ हाथ में सिगरेट है उसका भी ध्यान रहेगा. सो यू हैव ए इन एन ऑल सराउंडिंग अवेयरनेस आपकी जिंदगी में रहना चाहिए. सो थिएटर शुड बी मेड इन दैट वे, एक्टिंग शुड बी डन इन ए वे ताकि ऑडियंस जो
मतलब
है
थिएटर थोड़ा सा रियलिस्टिक वे में अप्रोच करना है बेसिकली.
बेसिकली Grotowski already discussed mostly physical theater, but again, truth is very much important, है ना? Truth को लेके कोई गुस्ताखी नहीं है, कोई दोहराई नहीं है. Truth is very important, but how to approach it is the non-verbal तरीके से approach करने की बात कर रहे हैं, movement के through approach करने की बात कर रहे हैं.
So I think Anirban, now you have
Yes,
covered everything in a very. I was also listening to your lecture, though I was also tired the way you are tired now because I was consistently speaking for 3 hours. So we can call it
yes.
a day. And most of the people who have already worked for a couple of months and understanding these techniques, it would have been much more beneficial for them rather than those who are just new or just trying to attempt in a very shorter period of time. There is actually no shortcut. These books I have been reading for ages, and it is not just a reading of these fact which you are talking about. It was through experience because you have practiced it and you understand it much better than anybody who can just read it out. So I would like to thank you, as well as I wish all the students all the best for this their exam. uh, at the end, I would say a few things only. Uh, Read the question carefully, particularly whether it is a MCQ or it is a descriptive question, and only then try to attempt. It is not a question of how long you write the descriptive answer. It is more about how many points do you have and how do you substantiate your points in a limited words. They are not looking for a flowery language. They are not looking for long answers. What they are looking is the substance. Are you talking substance or you are just talking and talking and talking? And this is the only formula. So the recording would be available maximum within 2 hours. Right now is 9 o'clock because it takes the time to process and all that. So the moment it is ready, I would load it. I had already loaded the recording of MCQ thing for all of you. So that's it. We can leave the meeting. And if still you have any doubt or something, try to watch various videos. And there's so much of a material available on the internet as well as on the YouTube. There are many very carefully created videos on these techniques, examples, and other things. So this is in brief, but all these 7 to 8 books on these acting technique written by the master themselves, you need to read them again and again. Not first reading will help you. And also there is a commentary by other people on those books, not just those books. So it takes time, but I'm sure that this 3 hour was worth listening to Mr. Anirban, and it would definitely help you in clearing your technical question part. I have also prepared few questions which are going to be helpful for you in your technical question, but those questions are more of factual information rather than this deep understanding analysis which Professor Anirban had discussed with you. So I will share those MCQ kind of a question with you tomorrow morning. Right now I'm a little occupied, and that's it. So Anirban, you can end the meeting.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Okay.
everyone. I wish you all the very best
Good
for your
night
exam.
and
मेरा
best
एक
of luck for
डाउट
your
था.
exam.
ओके, पूछ लीजिए जल्दी से. यस.
हाँ, जो नरेश सर ने कहा अभी कि सब्सटेंस मतलब जो आप सब्जेक्टिव अटेम्प्ट करते हो, मतलब लिखने के बजाय यू हैव टू ऐड सब्सटेंस इन योर आंसर्स. तो वो सब्सटेंस मीन्स कि फैक्चुअल चीजें डालनी है उसमें, फैक्ट्स डालने हैं थोड़े से, इसका मतलब
नहीं,
वो.
सब्सटेंस जब आप बात करते हैं, आई आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन.
हम्म.
एक हमारे दोस्त थे ब्रजेश्वर मदान, जो अभी नहीं रहे हैं, हु वाज द फर्स्ट इंडियन क्रिटिक्स हु गॉट द अवार्ड फॉर राइटिंग ऑन सिनेमा इन हिंदी लैंग्वेज. फर्स्ट पर्सन. ही हैज द टाइटल ऑफ ए आर्टिकल से कि बोले तो बहुत कुछ कहिए भी. इवन इफ यू स्पोक फॉर 10 minutes but you didn't talk worth It was all blah, 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 blah. So even if you have a one point and if there is an example, that's how it goes. Like recently, Mr. Anirban just told about the cigarette example. You got my point? So how this example clarify the point?
ओके ओके अंडरस्टूड लाइक मेरे जो भी जवाब है उसको एक
Support,
एग्जांपल के साथ समझाना है एग्जाम में
supporting the statement.
या जस्टिफाई योर स्टेटमेंट बेसिकली
Statement. Because
ओके
statement can be profound. Statement, all these statement by these people are very profound. So you need to substantiate your answer with a limited word, in a limited word, not long, but limited word.
ओके अंडरस्टूड थैंक यू सर
Great. Thank you. Good luck. All the best, guys. And I'll share the recording very soon. Anirban, you can
Thank you, sir.
leave
Thank
the
you so
meeting.
very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.